Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode. We are back. We are back of Just My Opinion Reviews. As you can see, I got my man Eman right there over to my left. How you doing, sir?
What up? What up?
Yes, and I also got Elliot with movie files downstairs. How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
That's
Got the hammer ready to go.
that's what's up. That's what's up. It sounded good a second ago, but see if you can work on that volume just a little bit. You came in kind of low, but we're gonna work it out. And guys, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in for our Thor Love and Thunder spoilers movie review. We are going to spoil this thing up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen it. You have been warned. And just in case you had no idea what this movie was about, Thor enlists the help of Valkyrie, Korg, and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster to fight Gorr, the god butcher who intends to make the gods extinct. Just want to let you know that if you love what we are saying today, you can follow all of us on social media. Our handles are on the screen. Their information is in the description box of this video. And like always, you can head over to my channel tab, and you got these two gentlemen right there. We got E-Man's channel right here, followed by Elliot's, and of course, this is mine. Please help us all reach 1 billion subscribers. Kidding, I'm kidding. But like I said, this is gonna be full spoilers. At the time, at this point in time, I've only seen the film once. I saw it last night. I believe Elliot, you saw it one time.
Yep.
But E-Man, lucky man over there, he's seen it
Double
two
dose.
times. Deuce. So that's what's up right there. I'm very, very excited to talk about this. E-Man, I'm gonna come to you first.
Yeah.
Because I do know how you felt because I did see your reaction, and I had a difference in opinion on a couple of things. That's why I'm excited. But go ahead and give us the brief rundown of how you felt about this movie, in case anybody out there doesn't know.
Yeah. So I mean, look, first and foremost, I was super excited the moment that Gore, the God Butcher, was announced because the comic background for this character is super rich. The character, his motivations, his drive, his actions are extremely deep. And it was something and then of course, once you pair it with a talented actor like Christian Bale, I mean, it was like all the right pieces were coming together. And that in itself got me super excited for this movie. Now, of course, I'd never anticipated that they would do a direct adaptation because Marvel hasn't done that in years. But either way, I was really looking forward to a potential villain that could probably shoot up the ranks to one of the best villains in the MCU. And the reason why I bring up the villain is because villains are supposed to push heroes forward, right? So that was one of the main things I was excited for. But overall, my reaction from this movie was kind of like it was exactly what I expected from Taika Waititi. His fingerprint, his footprints are all over this movie. There is not a shadow of a doubt that this is all from his mind. Clearly, Kevin Feige was like, do whatever you want and just go wild. And I think that, that can work for some people and maybe it won't work for others. I know a lot of people are going to compare this movie to Thor Ragnarok because Thor Ragnarok really saved the Thor franchise and the character. Given the first two movies not doing so well. But in my opinion, Thor Ragnarok is still better. I know we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I kind of like the balance in Thor Ragnarok when it came to the drama to the comedy. It was kind of like 50-50. This movie leaned a lot heavier to the sillier, goofy, comedic side. Almost felt kind of 70-30. And, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'll explain exactly why later on. But again, at the end of the day, the movie was enjoyable. It was entertaining. You definitely got some laughs out of it. The action was cool as well. But I also had some problems. I had, especially on the second viewing, I realized even more issues I had with it. But of course, we'll get into all of that very soon.
Nice. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Elliot, where you at on this, man? Where you at?
Yeah, man. Well, can you guys hear? Am I coming in okay? A little bit better?
A little bit better. It could be louder, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Audio. But so to follow up what Eman was saying as far as anticipation, so I'm not the biggest like Thor fan as far as the comic books, but it was more so just getting excited for the character, joining the MCU was really the fun aspect of the character. And as far as his 3 films prior to this, I've enjoyed Chris Hemsworth's journey to get into this point. And of course, Avengers and Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame. We've seen a lot of Thor. And I think for me personally, this film, as Eman said, a lot of fun. Fun comes to mind when it comes to this film. It's a summer blockbuster. It's Taika Waititi at his max capacity. Good or bad, we'll break that down a little bit further. But I ultimately, I had a good time with the film. I will say I applaud Natalie Portman. I thought she, Eman brought up the emotions a little bit earlier, and we'll dive into that more. But I really felt that this film, in my opinion, delivered more of the emotional impact versus Ragnarok. I didn't really feel the emotional impact with Odin's death. Low key, the ending of that film and all the different stuff and all the different things that we got there. I didn't feel it as much as I did in this film. And also, too, I'm so glad that they gave her a much better arc than what we got in the 2 movies. I mean, this film alone like shadows what she was given or lack of what she was given in Thor 1 and Dark World. So I definitely applaud her. And then of course we'll dive deeper into Gorr. I thought that his character, first off, when you open a film with your villain, that kind of lets you know that they really want to give you a villain to remember. I think Christian Bale would definitely be, I know some people are saying he's the best villain past Thanos. I'm not quite there yet, but definitely I could say easily probably top 5 so far. And of course, on the rewatch, that might go up or go down, but I thought he was fantastic. But yeah, man, I thought that this, one of the things we'll definitely talk about, I didn't expect it to dive into the cosmos aspect. Again, we're dealing with gods, and we'll talk about kind of how they handled the silliness of the gods, especially Zeus. But eternity, man, that is something that I was not expecting. And I'm very excited to dive into the daughter of Thor now, or the Uncle Thor and all that. So a lot of things I wasn't expecting, and we'll talk about the post credits. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied.
Well, good, man. I'm glad to hear it. I'm pretty satisfied too. We all 3 have dropped our, fresh out of the theater reactions for this film. And one of the things I said, I'm gonna repeat now, is I was not disappointed with this movie at all. My expectations, however, were not high either. And so that's very important. They were mid. I actually really wasn't looking forward to this movie until after Multiverse of Madness. I think that's mainly because I was itching for more MCU content, because while I did enjoy Multiverse of Madness, it still was slightly disappointing, with the high expectations and speculation that was going on online. But I do have to agree with Eman as far as all the jokes in this movie, and either one of you said Taika Waititi's signature is all over this. I mean, this guy had a field day. Do whatever you want, and that does not necessarily mean that it is a bad thing. I will also say that I enjoy this Thor Love and Thunder far more than Thor 1 and Thor 2 Dark World, but I'm still on the fence as far as whether I liked it more than Ragnarok, because Ragnarok, my expectations were high. I was disappointed with Hulk. Well, I think we all were. I was disappointed with the amount of screen time that we got from Surtur. This is the fire demon, and he only got 17 seconds of screen time. I was wanting a full-out brawl. So I was disappointed in Ragnarok for that, but I wasn't disappointed like that for Love and Thunder. So it's just a little chess game I'm gonna have to play in my mind to determine which one I like more. But I probably will have an answer for you by the end of this review, because there is so much to talk about, especially that post-credit scene. But let's start here at the very beginning with the way they started the film with Gorr the God Butcher. I thought Christian Bale did a phenomenal job. I thought it was damn near, it was great. I was able to attach myself to the emotion just when his daughter's dying at the very beginning, of thirst. I thought that was great. And when he made it to, I don't know where, at first I thought it was a mirage where he jumped into the water and was eating the fruit. And then he ran into that one guy that had like a sunflower haircut or something like that. I don't know who that was. Y'all can throw in a name if you. I thought that scene was perfect because it just showed how just relaxed and the gods were, and didn't care about life forms below them or beneath them. And Gorr was convicted. He was like, "Oh, I made it," and he has so much respect and reverence, for these guys, and they just thought of him like a little ant. And just the way he realized, just like, wait a minute, this is a farce. I believe in you two people. It's garbage. I really felt sorry for him right there. And so I thought that intro was great. However, I hated how he got the Necrosword. That really rubbed me the wrong way.
Kind of convenient.
Yeah, it just out of nowhere, you just get a magical weapon out of nowhere, and it answers all of your problems. It solves all of your problems. I mean, I kind of wanted more backstory with the Necrosword, where the power came from, all that. Elliot, do you agree? You disagree, man? How do you feel about this opening with Gorr and that whole introduction to Necrosword? And you can add on whatever you like on top of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things you brought up was the sympathy card. When you have a villain, when you can introduce them in a family element, that's one of the reasons. I mean, Vulture to me is a top tier Marvel villain because you introduce him to his family and all the different stuff and what he fights for. So seeing Gorr lose his daughter right then and there to me was definitely kind of, you felt bad for the character and you definitely can understand where they're coming from versus it just being, end of the world, take over the world type of situation. So I definitely enjoyed the particular guy that was after them, but happens to kill them at the exact same time. I don't know if there's a coincidence there, but it was very convenient. But again, it was only a 2-hour runtime, and I heard that there's a lot of things that were left on the cutting room floor for whatever reason. Maybe more of that will be put out when the film gets closer to release on Disney Plus. But that was a little bit kind of far-fetched, but again, it was the performance, it was what Christian Bale was able to convey, the being consumed by the darkness, and obviously coming to grips that the guys that he prayed to don't care anything about him. So again, all that stuff that I didn't like about the scene was overpowered by the stuff that I did enjoy.
Yeah, and real quick before I come to you, Eman, it just was weird that you have these guys that's kicking it up, chilling, parlaying, but they kill this dark figure over here with the Necrosword. The body just laying there.
Yeah.
So how badass of a character was he? But then Gorr just comes in here with no experience at all, no god powers, whatever, if I'm understanding him correctly. And then he's able to take them all out. The scaling of power was just a bit off to me. E-Man, jump in. How'd you feel about that whole opening?
I didn't like it.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
I didn't like it. Now, part of this is because I felt that, and again, I know it's kind of hard not to compare it to the comics and stuff, but and again, I don't expect a full straight up adaptation. However, one thing that the comics did with Gorr was they really took their time in making you feel the full impact of his grievances with the gods. So for example, in the comics, it wasn't just like, oh, my kid died and that's it. It was generational. Like a lot of like a lot of his family was dying. In other words, let me put it to you like this. Gorr was kind of like the opposite of Job in the Bible. Okay, so imagine Job going through a lot, not just, oh man, I lost my kid. Like, I'm suffering, I'm dying, I'm, all of this bad stuff. Anything bad that could happen happened to me. I stayed faithful, except I just didn't, keep my conviction with the God. So for me, I thought it was kind of cheap and rushed to give him only 5 minutes to get us on board with a level of sympathy. Now, I will say the message is received. If you've never read the comics, you obviously get it. Yes, I see why he's mad with the gods. The gods left him stranded. It was bogus. I totally understand that. In my opinion, I think they could have given him a little bit more time to actually make us feel how deep that can get. But again, I get it. It's runtime. And let's just say, skip all that. Let's say you understand the sympathy card. You understand the pain that he felt. Fine. What I don't like here is the fact that they completely removed all of his agency here. While he was suffering, while he was conflicted, especially when he was meeting up with the god or whatever, keep in mind, and I only caught this on the second watch, he sliced his hand, right? Like while he was there. And I think it was on the sword, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That's whenever the darkness or whatever got inside of him. And we could talk about what that actual stuff is later if you want. Yes. But that started to possess him. And again, this is something I can't wait till this movie has captions so people can see and read what's actually happening in all those whispers. One of the things that I caught was the whispers was telling him everything. If you want revenge, kill all gods. If you want revenge, do this and this. None of this came from Gorr. None of it. And that's the part that I felt was so cheap, because once again, and I'm gonna just call it right now, this is the new Marvel villain problem. In the past, Marvel had stupid villains that nobody cared about, or they had the mirror villain problem where the villain was just the opposite of the good guy and just bad intentions. But now the new problem is the fact that you completely remove the agency from the villain. All their motivations are not their own. All their actions are not because of their own, sensibilities. And I can tell you, this happened the moment Marvel, and you can go to marvel.com, look up Loki's character in the profile on screen. They retconned his character and said that basically it was the Mind Stone that was controlling him that made him want to take over Earth, to get back at Thor. Yeah,
Right.
he was jealous of Thor, but it was the Mind Stone that pushed him over the edge. Okay, so then that means Loki was never really a villain. Then you have Wanda, which we just saw in Doctor Strange, where it was the Darkhold that really corrupted her the whole time. Now you have the Necrosword that's giving Gorr his actual motivations and pushing him to do all these things. So at the end of the day, I'm really sitting here questioning myself as, like, he was just a host. He was just a host. And when you cheapen his suffering and you don't allow him to have that motivation on his own, I think it robs him of being a truly great villain. And I could give you a counterexample with Killmonger. Killmonger didn't need no, weapon or magic or whatever to be the way that he was. He saw years of Black people being oppressed. He saw Wakanda sitting. He knew that Wakanda was there and they did nothing. So his motivations, even if whether you disagree or agree with his actions, his motivations were authentic. They were all to him. So that, in my opinion, is what made him a great villain. Same thing with Thanos. He saw his family die. He saw his planet dying. All his motivations came from him. So for me, I am not a fan of the I'm possessed, so I'm going to do all this stuff, because now I don't care about you. Now the real question is, what the hell was controlling you the whole time? Because clearly it was that other thing or being that really wanted to kill all gods, and they just used you. And you were a pawn the whole time. So yeah, I'm sorry. For me, I can't put Gorr in my top 5, top whatever for villains, because he was just a pawn. He was just a pawn. So I didn't care for that.
Well, my goodness, man, well said. You broke that down and had receipts. So that's what's up. I appreciate that. I will say it didn't bother me nearly as much as you. You made valid points. I don't know anything about Gorr the God Butcher. The first time I ever heard about the character is when this movie was starting to be promoted. So, I had zero expectations, but I know that you are much deeper in the comic lore than myself. Quick question I want to ask you though, Eman. What is the difference, or which sword is more powerful, the Necrosword or the sword that the Black Knight is going to be possessing pretty soon, that we saw in the post-credit scene of the Eternals? Because going into this movie, I was like, you got all these weapons here. What's the
Ebony
difference?
blade?
Yeah, the Ebony blade.
Yeah.
Ebony blade.
Oh, 100% the Necrosword. So
okay,
just comic background, the Necrosword comes from Null. And Null is basically
a symbiote thing.
Huh?
The symbiote.
Yeah, he's like
okay.
he's the god of the symbiotes, right?
Okay,
so that's why all those dark shadows and you saw they kind of looked Venom like he existed at like before time. And if you think about it, he's the real reason that everyone's afraid of the Necrosword. The sword is something they afraid of, the gods and all that, but they really afraid of him. Okay. Null is the one that's like, yo, you don't want this smoke. So, the fact that he's like controlling everybody and, through the sword, that's a much bigger problem. And I think somewhere down the line, they're going to tie that in with Venom and other stuff. But
cool. Okay.
But definitely the Necrosword, to your question.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. Elliot, you brought up in your breakdown summary, you brought up something that is, in my opinion, the biggest sin of this film. I was talking about the runtime. 1 hour and 59 minutes. In my opinion, that is entirely too short. Because while there are not a lot of things in this film that, well, for me, and I've only seen it once, so I was like, oh, I didn't like that, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. One of my main problem is all the stuff that I loved in this movie, it wasn't enough of it. It should have been more. And so I do agree with you as far as, you know, because I was thinking, I was like, there had to be some stuff left on the cutting room floor, especially with your point, E-Man, with Gorr, but you're going to hire Christian Bale, one of the greatest actors in the game, and what a great villain and story as you broke down, and not giving him a lot of screen time. That just doesn't make sense. Gorr should have been in this movie much more. Jane should have been in this movie much more. Them exploring I forgot what it was called, the Shadow Realm or we should have saw more of that. We should have saw more of Zeus and Olympus, and it was just a lot. Now I don't know if y'all agree or disagree. You can let me know, but to me it was clear we should have got more of the Necrosword and where that came from and who that other person was. So that was that was kind of bugged me. But moving on, and if y'all want to comment, you can. But somebody, excuse me, that it wasn't that much of, and I'm not tripping, is the Guardians of the Galaxy right here. I have to say, real quick, and Elliot, I'm gonna come to you this time. You can tell me how you felt about the Guardians and their involvement or lack thereof. No complaints though. But I remember that your boy James Gunn, he was supposed to have Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but he made some ill-advised tweets, which got him fired, and it delayed the whole slate. And so I could have sworn that Guardians 3 was supposed to come out before this.
Yeah.
Was it okay? So
you mean before he got fired?
No, well, yeah, but like Guardians 3 was supposed to release, as far as the timeline, it was supposed to release before. It was supposed to release before Thor, as far as story is concerned. Yeah. You know, following Endgame. I could be wrong, but Elliot, jump in there, man. How'd you feel about that, and also just the Guardians in the beginning of the film and all that good stuff?
Well, I'm a Guardians fan. I do appreciate a good Guardians tale. And honestly, even with that being said, I didn't even think they needed to be in the film. I understand why they put them in there because of the continuation, like the capper of Endgame when we saw the Asgardians of the Galaxy. So, of course, you would probably want to know, okay, how did Thor go from hanging out with them to being solo again? So I know why they put it in the film, but it didn't do much for me. Because it didn't really add any. It doesn't even set up the Guardians 3 to me because they're actually going out to stop what Gorr was doing, but he's already done what he did. So I don't even know it didn't even set their film up, in my personal opinion. But again, it's always fun to see them. But just to I feel so bad for Dave Bautista because he had been 19 hours of prosthetics. Did he even say a line? I don't even think he had a line in the film, if I'm not mistaken. So it felt empty. They could have literally just had Peter and Thor having a little bit of interaction. The Guardians were doing something else because they did nothing for me at all, which again, I like the Guardians, but I didn't feel like they were necessary. And to your point, Brandon and E-Man, that little bit of screen time could have went towards Gorr, could have went towards, Natalie Portman's character, but instead they felt that they had to, again, Taika, the jokes, the camaraderie between the two, the back and forth, the banter, which was great in Endgame. But for some, it felt, and I don't know if you all felt this, it didn't feel the same for some reason. Their jokes didn't land the same as far as I'm referring to Thor and the Guardians. It just felt off. And I don't know if that goes to the fact that I know normally, and I don't know how it worked in this film, that James Gunn normally he advises the Guardians when they're involved in the other, like I know he was involved with, they were in Infinity War and Endgame, but I don't know if he was involved with them in this production, which makes me go back to when the James Gunn situation was going on. A lot of people were like, Taika Waititi could be the next director. I don't know if that would have worked out because again, I don't know if he I don't like his handling of the Guardians. They felt off. I don't know.
Yeah, they did seem like ghosts. It was weird. You have a good point there. E-Man, jumper in there, man. How'd you feel about that?
I mean,
or lack thereof?
Look, like the only thing that they contributed that was important was the conversation between Star-Lord and Thor, because that was the setup essentially of you got to feel crappy about somebody, and if you feel crappy about them, that's better than never loving. And obviously I'm paraphrasing, but that was it. That was outside of that.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're there outside of the continuation. They didn't even, to be honest, they didn't even need to continue. They could have just been like, the Guardians dropped me off at this planet, and that was it, and just show their ship going away. You could have just shown them kicking him out the ship if you wanted to laugh. Just something.
Get out of here.
Just anything, you know. So, and then just throw Stormbreaker out afterwards. Like they could have done anything. They did not need them in this movie whatsoever. But yeah, the only thing that was there was just that line, you know, which obviously later on plays into the theme of the love between Thor and Jane. But even that could have been the alien king that told him about that. You know, like anyone else could have used that line. And the Guardians were just there for no real reason. So I don't feel any type of way. I'm not mad that they're in it.
Right.
But it literally added very little. Like there was no real importance for them.
Question for not to cut you out. You know, what was less of significance? This moment with the Guardians or Abomination and Shang-Chi?
Oh man.
Because that's what it felt like. It was just kind of hollow and just kind of
thrown in there.
Yeah, like
I would say this. It's to be determined. Only because I think once we figure out what happens in She-Hulk as of like why that was even a thing, maybe it'll have some significance. But right now, since we don't know, I'd say the Shang-Chi thing was like even a bigger waste because
pointless.
We didn't need that at all.
Where's Gamora, by the way? Is she still on Earth? Did she find her space?
They still look that would have been even better. They could have at least been like, oh my God, we got a signal. It could be Gamora. Thor, we gotta go. You go handle your God thing, but I gotta go find Gamora. Because that's what, if I'm not mistaken, Volume 3 is about. It's about going to go find her and other stuff. So
really, that's
Adam Warlock.
I mean, they have to go. That's
okay.
That was what he left off with on Endgame. I've got to go find Gamora.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I don't know why they were in there.
Well, we also got I don't know if it's. I think it's this year. The Christmas special might lead into whatever their mission is.
Whatever that is.
I'm not.
I'm gonna watch. I like a good corny TV Christmas special.
I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not looking forward to it at all. And to answer your question, Elliot, I definitely have to say that the Abomination Shang-Chi was just completely wasted and stupid, in my opinion. I don't want to say stupid, just wasted.
Yeah,
I mean, I still like the teleportation technique where he made him punch himself. That is smart, so I got to give him that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. After people in the comment section in the chat, I'm not saying that I did not like Guardians in this movie. I mean, it was a fun scene. The action at the beginning where Thor was doing the splits and he was stopping, and I mean, it was funny. I had a fun time with it. Yeah, it was pointless, and I would have at the end of the film, looking at everything now, I would have much rather had more Jane or more Gorr or more Zues or something like that instead of these Guardians. And so
can I make a disclaimer, because I get the feeling somebody in the comments is going to be like, oh, you guys are taking this too serious. This doesn't have to be Oscar award winning acting. Please hold off. Don't go there. We're having fun with this.
Right.
Just because we have a critique doesn't mean that everything has to be super serious and top notch acted. We're just saying it could be better. That's all. Right. So I just want to say that because I know somebody gonna feel that hit.
Oh yeah, every time. But I will say this. When we saw this, was it 3 years ago at Comic-Con? I don't know what y'all was thinking.
2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I know I was over here like hell to the hell no. I was not feeling this at all. I was just like, this is gonna suck. Because I didn't like Jane. Really. I didn't care for Jane, the character in the first two movies.
She wasn't it was a throwaway character.
Yeah, I mean, I like smart people, smart men, smart women, but for you to master the technology to, summon 9 realm and portals, just by reading a couple of pages out of a book. I mean, I know she's a PhD, but that was just still too much of a leap for me. I could be wrong. However, I loved her in this movie, bro. I thought she was fantastic. She did a hell of a great job to me as Jane. I felt sorry for her, when she was getting the chemo. I wasn't paying attention at first, but then they backed the camera out. I was like, oh, wait a minute. She's in the facility right now. And Darcy came over there and they playing with the bag. And I was like, damn, this is what happens in the comics. When every time she turns into Mighty Thor, it's going to be taking her life force away. And so I did like that. I mean, she looks fantastic in this. I love the banter between Thor and Jane in this film. The awkwardness, you know, she's talking about it's been 3 years. He's talking about it's been 8.
Here's
You
3
know,
days.
them going back and forth, email looking like he disagreed with me. But
No, I got no problem with that.
okay. The fact that they were going over the notes like yeah, you left the notes, like, well, no, you left, and no, you left because that's why I left the note. I mean, I like that. This was and the whole montage of the love story I thought was cute. You know, I wanted to see that in Thor 1 and Thor 2, but it is something that we got in this film that we missed in the beginning of this Thor franchise. And I thought that was brilliant. I loved it. I was about to say something else, but it just slipped my mind. It'll come back to me. But Eman, I mean, how did you feel about I will, the only thing that was a bit convenient for me, or I kind of wish they would have stretched it out a bit more, is how she obtained the hammer.
They
You know,
explained it.
I mean, you know, she had the book over there and it called her, and then she just goes over. I guess they lifted the ground and put it. I don't know. But
I'll explain it.
yeah, I was coming. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So first and foremost, definitely, I thought she was one of the shining moments of the movie because I've been a Natalie Portman fan since The Professional, so I'm always a fan of hers. Acting was top notch. I was there for it. Definitely felt for her, obviously dealing with the situation, you know, the cancer situation and all that. I love the fact that she was, you know, in denial the whole time and trying to fight it, because that just feels like something a smart person, I can figure this out, you know. And even while that was going on for, I guess, part of my and yes, I also love the loving, you know, back and forth between her and Thor and the flashbacks and how they were kind of like, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say playing hard to get, but like they were just kind of like nobody wanted to really profess their love and be the first one to be like, no, I really missed you. No, I missed you. You know, I like that, you know, because I felt that was very natural, you know. So everything with their relationship, I was totally down for it. And you know, it was funny because like a friend of mine brought this to my attention, which was and I think they could have explored this a little bit more because it seemed like Jane had kind of sort of moved on a little bit more. Like she still had feelings for Thor, but she's kind of sort of moved on just a little bit, and Thor couldn't. And it was like, I was just thinking about how a friend of mine had mentioned Thor lives a long time. So those small little moments, it might take him longer to get over things compared to people like us, you know, like, yo, give us a couple months, we over with it, you know. But like, because the months, the time is different for people that don't live, as you know, for thousands of years. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But my biggest grievance with the relationship was not Natalie Portman's portrayal, because I thought she did an outstanding job. What I didn't like was Taika's handling around her situation, because for me, when you're dealing with her illness, especially, you know, like that's core to her story, like that's a central thing of her story, I didn't think it was cool to be making jokes around that time. So for example, when Thor realizes, or you know, learns from the doctor that you know, something is preventing the chemo and all that stuff, and then he goes and hits on the vending machine and he comes in and makes a joke about it, I'm like, all that kind of stuff kind of robs you of the seriousness, the drama of the situation. And I mean, I've said this of horror movies where I'd say like comedy and horror don't match. Well, it's the same thing with drama. Comedy negates drama. Something that right then and there, you know, I think would have been a perfect moment for us to really feel like, dang, we might lose Jane right here, because cancer is not something to joke with. Like cancer is a real thing. That could have been a great moment for the movie to just breathe, just to give us time to like really feel. And you can uplift us later, but the way that they just kind of had to keep throwing jokes in there to keep it light, to me, I just thought that kind of negated some of the drama that was already baked into the story. I mean, it's baked into the fact that we know she has cancer. It's stage 4. It's a serious thing. She could die at any point. Clearly, the hammer is like robbing her of her ability to heal and all that. And I thought that was just a miss. But to answer what you were talking about before, the reason why she was drawn to Mjolnir was because during the flashback scene when Thor was like, protect her, you know, and all that, he created a spell.
I saw that. Right,
but
right.
That was it. Like Mjolnir
Okay.
is sentient, you know, and that's kind of also part of it too, because we're dealing with all these weapons that are sentient now. But he basically pulled a Odin. He created a spell. That spell was to protect her, and that's why it was calling to her in whatever way that they wanted to you know, talk about that. But I think that's a bit of a plot hole, because I'm like, if your one job was to protect her, but when you're with her, you're killing her more, how does that work?
Wait, what do you mean?
The spell was for Mjolnir to protect Jane, but every time Mjolnir was, you know, like with Jane, it prevented her body from fighting off the cancer. So you're killing her. You're not protecting her.
I see what you're saying.
So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I know in the comics that yes, as she used it, it drained her of her power, but I'm just sitting there kind of thinking like, it feels kind of plot hole-ish. Like you're supposed to protect, but you're really killing.
I got you, Elliot. I want you to address that, but real quick, I did see the, you know, him, you know, touch he did it on accident, you know, and on the other side, because he touched the hammer on one side, and on the other side we saw it get enchanted, and so that was cool. I don't know. I guess I mean that explains it. I guess I just wanted a bit more from that, but you know, I guess it's cool. It's not too big of a gripe. But Elliot, go ahead, man. How did you feel about that? What Eman stated, and just Jane in general, and her. I'm sorry. Okay, real quick. I'm sorry, Elliot. No, Eman, when you said that they was doing the jokes that robbed the moment of the severity of cancer, was that more towards the beginning of the film?
No, more so towards the end.
So I kind of want to push back, because I thought the handling of that actually made it more serious, because Thor himself is a jokester, and he did go to the vending machine, and when he dumped all the food and the candy on the tray, I think he had a line, and he had a lot of bass in his voice. He was saying, well, Jane, if you touch that hammer again, I think he even may have used the cuss word like, damn, it'll kill you. And so like that alone, I was like, okay, like Thor is not just frolicking around being happy and silly. He's serious, like, no, I care about you. You're back in my life. We cannot handle it. So for me, you know,
literally right before that, he threw a joke in there. Literally right before. Everything you just
slipped my mind, I guess.
No, everything you just
said. Is it the refrigerator joke?
Yeah.
So to jump in, I took that as because I've been around people that passed away of cancer. Kind of I guess he's trying to not negate what's going on in front of him, but try to bring a little bit of like lightness of the matter. That's how I kind of took the joke at that moment. But I still kind of understand where Eman is coming from. But
you're totally right. And it's one of those things where like, I'm not gonna, you know, degrade or, you know, belittle somebody that it doesn't bother, because I understand for other people, especially when you're dealing with grief, some people use humor.
Jokes.
I'm just saying, for me, I thought that could have been a good moment as a director to allow the severity and the drama of that moment to just sink with us. Maybe I don't feel like laughing while she's dealing with cancer. Maybe I want to see Thor take a break from being joking, you know, jovial about it, and just like actually let that stuff hit. He just got some really bad news. Like, you know, again, it's a moment, it's a creative decision. It just didn't work for me. I'm sure it might work for others, and that's fine.
Okay. And sorry for starting to stop me, Elliot. Jump in there, man. Everything you feel about Jane, her involvement, all that. Let us know how you feel, man.
I think I following what Eman said, I thought that Natalie Portman, for the first time in this entire franchise that she's been around, and if I'm being honest, like Natalie Portman, like Eman said, fantastic actress from The Professional,
Black Swan.
I mean, you name it, she is just great. But for whatever reason, franchises don't work for her well, and I'm referring to Star Wars as well as Marvel. I don't know if it, George Lucas direction, Kenneth Branagh and Alan Taylor, if they just don't tap into that whatever greatness she has, they just don't allow her to display it. So And I think her relationship with Taika was one of the big reasons, or knowing his work was what brought her back to the role. Like I think of, again, going back to Eman with just kind of the balancing of the jokes and the humor. Jojo Rabbit 2019 was one of my favorite films that year. And I mean, that is not a jokey matter at all as far as what that subject matter that he covered in that film. So I think that's a little bit of, as you just mentioned, Eman, as far as like when people bring jokes into, I think that's when Taika allows himself to bleed into the script, because he just, unlike Ragnarok, he wrote this film. And you can see that because of those moments that you just pointed out. I think of a lot of his films, The Hunt of the Wilder People. There's some really sad, dark moments, but he tries to find the funniness in the darkness at the same time. And for some, like I said, to your point, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, as far as Jane, man, I really thought that he allowed her to show her funny side, her vulnerable side, her smart side, or her hero side. I will say, though, I don't know if Mjolnir, if having the possession Thor allows you to know how to like become a ass kicker. Like I didn't know Jane knew how to fight. And she picked it up very, very easily. But, Cap did too. But Cap had, 50, 60 years of combat experience. So I'll let that slide as far as like how she was able to pick up on all that stuff. Because I almost wish that there was like a, we got the montage of Thor working out. I would have loved to have seen Valkyrie and her training and whatnot, for she can kind of, become the mighty Thor that she ends up being in the film. But overall, I really don't have any complaints really with Natalie Portman. I was very happy with them bringing someone back who was not at all used well in Thor 1 and 2. I think this was definitely a, brush off the dirtness, let her shine and do her thing. And I thought she stepped up to the plate and just was fantastic. And when she did possess the hammer, and when she did have those moments, I thought that they stuck the landing for me for the most part. Some of the jokes, again, we'll talk about the jokes later. Some of the catchphrase thing that she was trying to do, eat my hammer and stuff. Some of that stuff I didn't find to be all that interesting, but for the most part, I thought Natalie did a great job as Jane.
I gotta say, man, when she tried to make the joke initially, I was like, yeah, that's corny, that's cringe. Like, how take my hammer. However, at the end where she brought it into fruition, it was nice. I was like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying?
I like it because she's a nerd though. Like she ain't no warrior. I liked it. It was a good transition.
Yeah, I kind of like that myself. You know what I'm saying? But we're talking about the comedy bit, man. How y'all feel about the action? That really popped up on this scene right here when Jane popped up. I will say, for me, the film was beautiful. CGI was great across the board, except this scene with these shadow monsters. They look bad in this scene to me. I remember seeing one of them in a trailer TV spot, and I was just saying to myself, okay, maybe they just didn't finish. Clearly they didn't, because that stood out like a sore thumb to me. I thought it was cool, though. I mean, you got your boy right here. He takes this Necrosword, he stabs it in the ground, and the beasts just come out everywhere, all different shapes and sizes. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you can do all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I even though there was not much tension and stakes in the action, like I never thought that somebody was going to die or perish, or Jane did, but I didn't feel that way, but I still have fun with the action. Elliot, how did you feel about the action and the intensity and all that hot jazz?
Taika, again, knowing his comedic background, knowing that he actor turned director and the projects he's been a part of, I think he's gradually growing into learning more about the handling action, because not all directors, even the Russo, have people brought in to handle their action, the John Wick people. So I don't think that's his strongest suit. But Thor is under his belt, 2 Thors, a couple episodes of The Mandalorian. He's working on Star Wars next, which we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. But I think that for the most part, it was handled well. To be honest with you, the third act, well, I guess before the third act, the Shadow Realm battle was one of the coolest visual aesthetics I've ever seen in the MCU. Like that black and white contrast of them taking the color out in the big shadow. It was very kind of like stop motion. Like it kind of reminded me of Kubo and 2 Strings, and also a little bit of Beetlejuice. I thought that sequence was like absolutely stunning as far as action goes. And throughout the film, I thought the action was pretty handled well. The only thing that you mentioned as far as the shadow, the only thing I thought was kind of silly was like the kids were sleeping throughout the whole time. Like those kids were laid out. They didn't hear any people screaming, fires all around. They were knocked the hell out. I'm like, why are these kids sleep throughout this whole thing? That was the only thing that kind of threw me off with that scene. But outside that, to answer your question, I thought the action was you could see the progression of Taika's work from, again, Thor Ragnarok, 2 Mandalorians, and leading to this. You can see he's directing it better from like his first outing with Ragnarok being his first kind of like big action film.
I got you. E-Man, what you think of that action, man?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I did like the action. The color palettes, the visuals, like those things were absolutely stunning. I mean, just having the color with the black and white backgrounds and going back and forth, I thought that was really, really innovative. And almost Zack Snyder-ish. Almost gave me a little Sin City feeling, again, but I thought that was really honestly, it really felt like he took a page out of Zack Snyder's book there. And it really worked, I think, for the film. The only critiques I had with it was just kind of like, I kind of wish there was more action, because I mean, you're talking about Thor fighting battles and all that stuff. It was kind of like the battles were kind of like, we'll do a little skirmish with the gods, and a little skirmish here at New Asgard, and maybe a little one-on-one here with Gorr, but it was cool. But I think one other issue I had was like, man, they were really overdoing it with the 300 leap into battle thing. I think I counted that like maybe 5-6 different times. Like, y'all don't have no other moves. All y'all do is just leap in slow motion and strike the ground. That's it. Like, that's all funny. Them years of battling and fighting, that's the main move y'all got. Even when he was a baby, like whoever that woman was that was carrying him, that's what she did. I'm like, okay, I guess y'all just go use that move and wear it to the ground. But and I guess like there were some small moments where the CGI, like it was very obvious that it was CGI. Whenever they would like jump or move really fast and stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think the action was still probably a strong suit for the film, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. Another thing, like I said, man, is I like the action too. It's just something that we should have got more of, in my opinion. They don't ever release extended cuts or anything like that, so I'm not gonna hold my breath. But you guys let us know in the chat, in the comments, what you think. But I want to ask y'all now, Elliot, man, your girl, Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, very nice. She popped up in part 3. She's back in number 4. She's the king. She looks a little frustrated right here. We got New Asgard. It's a tourist attraction.
I thought that was hilarious. The tourist attraction aspect.
Yeah, man. They had, I think, did I see a Ferris wheel in there or something? Or am I tripping? They had something.
I know they had some roller coaster ride or something.
Yeah, man.
Commercial.
How did you feel about Valkyrie, New Asgard, and also one character that kind of got on my nerve in Ragnarok? I liked him a lot more in this one, maybe because he had less lines, but that was also Korg. Korg was appealing to me in this movie. He helped out a good amount. I thought he was a great addition, so I don't have any complaints. But yeah, how you feel about New Asgard and Valkyrie and Korg and all that good stuff?
Well, I think New Asgard to me is definitely a destination I would love to go to. It seems like a good time, so I would definitely love to visit. As far as Tessa Thompson, she she's a pretty cool king, laid back, like you mentioned. She's kind of getting tired of she mentions it so much so in the film, like, yes, I want to be a king. I love being the protector of Asgard, but I also love to kick ass. I love to be in battle. So seeing that kind of conflict of her, and hopefully with the inevitable Thor 5, or seeing her in the future, she's able to recuperate from her wounds in this film and get back in the battlefield. But I thought she was great, man. I thought you guys mentioned wanting more of things. I really enjoyed the friendship and the bond that her and Jane developed. Like, this is their first time ever interacting, not just in their world, but in the MCU. And I thought those scenes were really well handled. I just wish we would have gotten a little bit more of it, because I was just so pleased with their relationship. But overall, man, I thought Tessa was great. Again, when she was in, and we'll talk about the good stuff of when they went to the planet or the world with all the gods, but then some of the bad stuff. But in general, I was pretty pleased with her moments in this film. And Korg's fine. I'm not a big Korg fan because again, I think when Taika injects a little bit more comedy, is a character like Korg is literally there for comic relief, and that's literally all, which sometimes works with straight up like stoner comedies, but for like action films, I do want my characters to be able to. I don't think Korg has landed a punch since being in the MCU. I think he's literally just landing more jokes than actual physical violence on people. So Korg's okay, but Valkyrie, I'm here for it.
Already, he got that gun. He did his thing. I like him. I like Korg.
I just want to see more action from Korg.
I ain't mad at you, especially Dave Bautista. Only thing, I agree with you as far as the bond between Jane and Valkyrie. I thought that was dope. My only pushback is the joke that they have to insert in serious moments when they're about to go to battle, because I think one of them pulled out the weapons. And then one was, oh, you got a hand grenade, and it was like, oh no, this is a radio, and I'm just like,
that's
damn,
y'all that's
had
a deleted scene that just made it in.
Y'all had to, insert that in there, a hand radio. We got, it wasn't. It was a serious moment for me, and they cut it. They cut the tension, kind of like in Doctor Strange 1, where he was about to go into battle. And the cape started rubbing his face when he was in the mirror. I was so pissed because I was like, hell yeah, it's going down. You know what I'm saying?
When she started putting the hair in his face during the vision.
Yeah. I'm just like, stop it. Stop it. But go ahead, Eman, man. What you feel about New Asgard, Korg, Valkyrie, all that good stuff, man? You love it, you hate it?
I don't. I just don't. I mean, I'm just indifferent because they were all, first of all, I would totally go to New Asgard. Just to visit. I would totally go there. Shout out to Matt Damon and McCarthy. That was pretty funny. You know what I'm saying? To see.
I forgot all about that.
Nah, that was good. Like that's the comedy.
Point to me. Does her and her husband have to work on everything together?
Yes.
Ben Falcone, I think is his name. They literally are tied to the hip together, and he is ruining her career. But go ahead.
Well, ride or die.
Yeah,
but no. I mean, like that's the comedy I'm okay with, because it's actually baked into what they already established. I mean, that was in Ragnarok, and it was hilarious, and that's a funny reoccurring joke. But no, I like New Asgard. I was cool with it. But like and Korg, I would say, is giving Luis and Ant-Man a run for his money with the narration. I would love to just hear both of them going at it, telling these stories and stuff like that. That to me was hilarious. It was like, the mighty Jane Fonda. I mean Foster. And I was like, that's hilarious because I was saying the same thing myself. Every time I'm like Jane Fonda. Foster. So I love that. That Korg can narrate whatever he wants. I'm there for it. As for Valkyrie, I mean, great supporting actress, great supporting character. Because that's all she did this entire movie. It was like, how can I be here for Jane? How can I be here for Thor? She might have had 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds when they were drinking on the boat and they kind of were reflecting on her and her losses, of like all the other, Valkyrie women, maybe even her love interest. And that was it. Outside of that, did you learn anything else about Valkyrie? I mean, she didn't want to be king. We knew that. That was nothing new, so I don't know if more screen time would have been helpful. I mean, I'm never going to complain if Tessa Thompson's in anything. She was great with the role that she was given, but there was no real meat on the bones to critique it one way or another. So I'm really indifferent about it.
I got you, man. I got you. And bro, thank you for bringing up that Matt Damon reenactment scene. That was hilarious, man. They really be putting it in there, man. That is funny. That's probably one of the funniest parts of the movie to me. So I got to give it to you, Taika. That right there, keep doing that. I love all of that energy right there. That
to me, what makes it so funny is people, again, the more Shakespearean version of Thor. It's like his version of saying, "Well, I'll give it to you if you want some Shakespeare Thor in the form of a play." So I think it's so funny.
Yes,
while we here, like, how did y'all feel about the goats?
That was the next thing I was gonna ask.
Oh, okay,
brother.
My bad.
That was. Oh no, you got it, man. They were okay. They were. I didn't hate them.
Yeah.
I didn't love them either. I just want to know what he was thinking. Like he was like, let me have some goats that just randomly scream all the time for no reason. That'll be great. And it's random. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. It was there. It was Taika, I guess. How'd you feel about it?
I mean, this is what happens when you let Taika just do whatever he wants. And I don't think they were needed. Once again. Now here's the thing. I thought they were hilarious the first 3 screams. After scream number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I was like, all right, come on now, y'all. Like, come on now. Look, I was cracking up. I was like, what the hell? And they was in the Guardian ship just running around, and Nebula was like, look, we finna put these down. Like, I'm putting them down right now. Like, all of that was hilarious. And I think even when they went to the Shadow Realm and they were like flying into the crater or something, and they were screaming, I was like, okay, that's cool. But like, I don't know. For me, I was just kind of like, it was a funny running joke. Yeah. But I've always been a proponent of like, when it comes to comedy, and there's another element once we get to the gods part. But when it comes to comedy, I think people really underestimate the power of comedic moments in small doses. And people think that just because you really, really love something, that if you get more of it, it's going to make it better. That's not the case. Sometimes it wears out its welcome. It runs the joke into the ground. And I think Taika kind of, ran these jokes with the goats into the ground.
That rhymed. I got you, man. He did. It was never a point for me to where I was just like, oh, stop it. God damn it. Like something else. But I'm not mad at you. Elliot, I'm sorry. Yeah, jump in there, man. About the
I'm indifferent. They didn't make or break the film to me. It was just like Eman said, just kind of a Taika. A lot of improv is something of his sensibility. So it was. I'm pretty sure, like if we didn't care for it, there's someone out there that can't wait to buy the Funko Pops of these two. Because I saw a lot of tweets. The goats. I'm like, damn, people love these goats, and they're really that big of a factor. But people love them, so there are people out there that will ride or die and can't wait for the Disney spinoff series.
And that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, get them goats,
I can love them goats. That's all good.
Yeah. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. But yeah, E-Man, you like reading my mind, bro. Like of what I'm gonna be doing next, because you was like when we get to the gods part, because that is one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is one thing I was really looking forward to in this movie was seeing what this creature right here is about. But we did not get much story background at all. I mean, at one point in time, Zeus, and we're gonna get to him next, was like, oh, those are all lower tier gods. We the big kings over here, the big kahunas, I kind of wanted more of that, more development, more story, and seeing kind of what that's about. I know you know who this is, bro. I don't know. I know this page right here literally comes out the comics because I've heard 11,000 people talk about it. But how did y'all feel about the gods or lack thereof? Yeah, E-Man, you got that face, man. Like you just where you at, bro, on all that?
This was the biggest miss of the entire movie for me.
Oh, okay.
The fact that, like, if you're not gonna show us the extent of Gorr's suffering, if you're not gonna show us that, at the very least, with any villain, you should show us the impact and sense of urgency from their actions.
Yes.
Once again, this is why I can't put Gorr in my top anything, because he didn't do nothing that really had any real consequence. Now, again, in the comics, the reason why he was such a problem was because, and I totally encourage people to go read the comic. Not trying to say that the movie had to do the comic. What I'm trying to say is the comic understood giving Gorr and his actions a huge amount of impact to the story. They didn't do that in the movie. Again, it doesn't have to be apples to apples. They don't have to copy it, but at least take that sensibility, at least take that, that narrative, in a sense, that effect, to bring it into this movie. Because in the comics, Gorr was killing all kind of gods. It didn't have to be just lower level. It was all kind of gods, and it was a problem. Matter of fact, he enslaved some of the gods and made one of them build like a big old bomb to kill even more gods. Like, it was real apocalyptic level. Go ahead.
Didn't that bomb, didn't it take like 500 or 5,000 years to create?
It was like hundreds of years. Yeah. He enslaved the god of bombs. He even enslaved Thor. But again, That's super, super comic-y stuff, right? I'm not expecting the MCU to do that because honestly, it'd be way over some people's heads, and it was over some comic people's heads too. Great story though.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is like, he didn't kill nobody that nobody cared about.
Right.
He didn't kill nobody that's gonna have an effect on anything that we know of in the MCU. And it was kind of like it'd be different. Let's say he killed Zeus. Now you like, whoa, like Zeus is a big deal. And if Gorr could kill Zeus, now it legitimizes his presence as a big deal type of villain. If Zeus was sitting here talking about like, oh yeah, those are lower tiers, we don't really care about it. But that Necrosword, we fear that sword. That's why I'm like, yo, this Gorr dude, you guys are nerfing Gorr at every instance, because it's not about him. It's about the sword and wherever the sword came from. So for me, I was just kind of like, man, what a missed opportunity to at least, I mean, look at Doctor Strange 2 with Wanda. At least Wanda was out there killing people. She was attacking, Kamertage, a place of like all them wizards. You would think it like, wait, nobody could take all them on. Like, she's going against Doctor Strange. She's going against the Illuminati. She's imposing herself as a formidable threat. Gorr never really does that here. And
Right.
that's why I was kind of like, man, whatever. Y'all can miss me with all this. Y'all at least could have given him a real victim to lose to, or I'm sorry, to defeat or whatever, so that, we could really be like, Gorr is a real problem. Because I think Elliot had mentioned this earlier, but at no point in time did I ever think Thor was ever in danger.
Yeah.
No time did I ever think that there was really a sense of urgency, like, oh crap, this is a problem. How's the hero gonna overcome this?
Right.
So
I give it that. Yeah, Elliot, jump in there, man. Because I know at one point in the film they had like a bunch of, I think it may have been when he was at Mount Olympus, or if that's what it's called. They had some images up showing all the gods that
that was
Gorr,
the Guardians.
Yeah,
the Guardians within the ship. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had all that up there that he. Oh, yeah, you're right, because they was going through all the images and he was like, "Oh, go back."
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have delved in that a bit more instead of just showing us images.
Yeah,
I wanted to learn all about it, but how did you feel about that, or lack thereof, as far as all the gods are concerned?
Yeah, man. I think, like I said, there was an article that came out today that did allude to some deleted scenes. One being Christian Bale and Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. There was a scene that was a cut. Peter Dinklage. I can't think of the character he played in Infinity War, but he had a scene with him. So to Eman's point, I think that there are quite a few scenes that was left on the cutting room floor regarding Gorr and his damage, because it is funny just thinking about it. We didn't see him kill anyone on screen. It was all off-screen kills, which it's almost the Jaws effect. Don't show the monster, don't show the nature of what they're doing, just kind of allude to it or say it. But in this case, we definitely want to see it. So that is a missed opportunity to really kind of impose himself in the MCU and solidify himself as someone you don't want to wreck with. Like, again, thinking of my top tier villains, Thanos. First time we meet him, he beats the hell out of Hulk and lets you know right then and there he ain't no one to play with. He barely, barely moved and destroyed the Hulk. Killmonger did his thing with T'Challa, took him out, and the list goes on and on. Vulture meeting Spider-Man first took. So yes, it would have been nice to see that. I guess we can say that he got the best of Thor in their first round when they were in New Asgard. That was like the most. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he kind of, it was all part of a ploy and really more of a setup more than it was like imposing himself. But I
like that though. It was nice.
It's his plan to get the kids that don't hear apparently. But it would, I mean, I would have to you guys' point, I thought, and we were all kind of speculating, Gorr is going to come up in here and kill Zeus, I think Eman, on one of your theories or one of your lives, you thought that maybe to kind of explain Black Panther 2, he kills the Black Panther guy, which that literally was, she was just there. It was just,
he was just there.
And all the guys were there, by the way, which that was the one thing I did not like about that scene. All these guys are just sitting there watching this happen. Like, none of them had anything to say. None of them stepped up and stopped Thor. They just watched it, and they were eating.
That ain't none of their business. Zeus said it. He was like, "Yo, guys, take care of their own stuff.
I guess.
And
I just
that's
would have
it.
thought, especially when we get to the post credits, where was Hercules during all this the commotion of it? Obviously, and I think Brandon, you touched on it in your review that, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was your scene that you were going to be disappointed with was how easily Thor killed Zeus and how
Yes,
he didn't die.
yes.
And okay, yeah.
Oh my God, bro! I
And
was
that was
about to
something I'm like,
riot.
did y'all just kill Zeus just like
Yes,
piece of cake?
yes.
Moving
That's what we're
on.
going. That's what we're going next, bro. Like I was like, what
Oh,
the
man.
hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
He just gonna take it. Well, not only did he kill him with his own weapon, I'm
Yeah.
like, talk about emasculation in his own crib in front of his own people.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible.
I'm
This was about to be the worst decision Marvel has ever
I was
made.
right there with you.
I was
'Cause
like,
when I
y'all
saw that scene, I'm like,
are effing kidding me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that when I saw that post credit scene, I was like, oh, phew.
He's still, yeah.
Because I don't want to get into it too much, but he kind of just brushed it off like, oh, that kind of itched, you know what I'm saying, with his women beside him. But before we dive into you, Elliot knew what I was talking about. He talking about killing Zeus, but I was pissed. But man, how did y'all? Okay, so we're here now, man. How do we feel about Zeus?
By the way, you saw the guy sitting next to Boss, right?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It was like a big blue guy. That, if I'm not mistaken, I forget the name. I definitely can't say it. It's like Tatu Waya something. But it's like, I believe that's the Aztec or Mayan god, which I think was foreshadowing of the god that Namor follows. So I'm thinking part of whatever rewrite that they do, rather than making Namor like a mutant or something, I think that they're going to be like, hey, that god is what gives Namor and Atlanteans their powers, you know, similar to how Boss and the whole herb and all that. So I think they had them sitting there side by side on purpose,
foreshadowing,
just to kind of say, like, you know, these are two gods, and maybe they tribes might fight, but they just sitting there, you know. And I also said that I thought there was another one. There was like a golden dragon there as well.
Shang-Chi, right? Was you thinking Shang-Chi?
I think that had something to do with Shang-Chi a little bit. Like, okay, the golden dragon just seemed a little bit more superior than all them other dragons we saw.
Right.
So I wonder if this is part of Marvel's other plan of like, there's a god of a god. I mean, there's a god of magic.
Right.
There was another god or something else.
The noodle or the whatever that was, a little. I mean, there's literally for everything. But
right. But I'm just sitting here thinking, like, the fact that there's a god of magic, that's already, and you know, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. That might be changing some things from Marvel's actual history of like how magic works and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, but I just thought it was very interesting that they showed all these things, and I'm pretty sure some YouTube channel is gonna go crazy with all them Easter eggs.
I got you, man. Let me ask y'all this: who is stronger, Odin or Zeus? I have no idea. I'm a lean on Odin just because I know him more, but I don't know.
I mean, they're kind of based off each other though. Like Odin is kind of Zeus's counterpart in a sense.
Elliot, what you got?
I would think Zeus.
Really?
Yeah, Zeus might be. He might be it. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, how did y'all feel? Now, one thing, this whole thing was beautiful. I love that. It was funny. I would say Russell Crowe, I liked him. I also kind of think like, how would it have been if he was a more serious character and he just wasn't wearing I don't know what it's called. It's not a skirt, but I forgot what it's called. But yeah, something. I'm just kind of thinking, you know, I didn't hate him. You know, in the trailer, I was like, really, you flicking him with the wrist? You know, how am I going to receive this? But he was cool. He would just, you know, I don't want to call him fat and lazy, but he just didn't give a damn. You know, he's just like, I'm gonna do what I do. I got my women, I got my grapes, I got my wine, I got my lightning. You know, this was a pretty cool weapon. Like I said, everything was beautiful. But one thing that was weird to me is I thought that Thor could just roll up and be like, hey, Zeus, I'm here, bro. I got to holler at you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what's up, Thor? How you doing? Yeah, sorry about your daddy. Sorry about Asgard. You know, we got a room up. But no, we got to sneak in and his invitation only. So I was just kind of like, what is the hierarchy of power here? What is the relationship? It's like they didn't even know who he was. You know, so that was kind of bizarre to me. I could be looking at it the wrong way. But Elliot, how did you feel about that?
Well, I think I think he was trying to underplay the whole situation at hand, but I think he knew who Thor was. I think he even acknowledged it, like, Odin's son or whatever, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I thought was a little bit kind of weird is how they, this is a kingdom of gods, and the sneaking in aspect of it seemed a little bit over the top for me. But again, I really do wish, and I love Russell Crowe. And I think the older he's gotten, the more he's kind of embraced a different side of his acting sensibilities, because he's always been more of a serious actor. So again, I think Taika allows these type of world-renowned Kate Blanchett, Christian Bale, now Russell Crowe. I mean, his casts are pretty great as far as what he's able to bring to the table. But I wish there was someone maybe more like you guys said. I wish he played it up a little bit more seriously.
I got you, Eman. Where you at?
I absolutely did not care for Zeus's character. It was again, this comes with like comedic style. If you like it, great. Have fun with it. For me, it did not work for me, because if you're going to make Thor his silly, goofy, comedic self, I don't think it also works when you give him another goofy comedic person to play off of. It's kind of like the whole comedic standard of having the straight man with the, funny man. It works better when you have one person that's serious and the other one that is not serious. That always plays off as a much better element. Case in point, when you go back to let's say Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, when Star-Lord would interact with Thor, just even in the very beginning, when he was saying the speech of like, when you look into the eyes of the people that you love, and so, like, Star-Lord at that point is playing the straight man because he's being serious, and Thor is being silly, trying to get all in the camera shot, and lock eyes with Star-Lord and stuff. That's funny because you're having one be funny and the other one be straight. But when you have two people kind of being goofy, and then you have Russell Crowe just kind of being eccentric with it, it just didn't work for me. I was just kind of like, what the hell? Like, why are you talking like that? Why are you walking like that? Why are you frolicking? Like, it was dumb. It was dumb. And I get it. Some people like slapstick humor like that. I did not care for it. I thought it was unnecessary. I think that they would have worked a lot better to keep Thor the comedic focal point and then have him work off of everybody else. It also reminds me of like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was hilarious in the first movie where Chris Pratt was the funny guy and everybody else was serious. And, just seeing that dynamic. But then in Guardians 2, when Chris Pratt tried to be funny, but then Drax tried to be funny, then Mantis tried to be funny, it was whack at that point. So for me, I don't know. Zeus, I missed me with all that. I didn't care. I agree kind of with the whole shock value. I was shocked when he threw the Thunderbolt back at him. But at the same time, and in defense of Thor, in Ragnarok, when he came to the realization of his power, and I think this movie kind of solidified that, Thor is kind of sort of on Odin level right now. He doesn't know it, but he enchanted, Mjolnir. He was able to share his power with other people. Like, he's able to strike down another god, with their weapon. He's kind of sort of like on Odin level at this point, after coming into the full realization that, like, basically whenever his eyes glow, that's when he's kind of like tapping into his full potential. So it didn't bother me too much that he struck Zeus down. I was shocked. I thought they actually killed him. I was like, oh, just like that, because that could have been Gorr's victim, but okay. But yeah, that's the only defense I give.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it because Zeus was confident with this bolt, talking about, bro, chill out. He ain't gonna reach eternity, man. He not gonna reach eternity, and we're gonna talk about eternity.
Yeah,
just not yet. But before we do that,
by the way, and I think the because you were asking like what was the difference. I think just Zeus and them, they were just more Hollywood, in like the sense of they were more of a celebrity. So yeah, they knew about Odin, but Odin was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna chill in Asgard, do my thing." Gotcha. Maybe we don't go to the orgies. I'm like, dang, Disney, y'all let that go, like, for real, But like, I just think that's kind of what they were playing towards. Like, the Greek gods are the celebrities; they're the hierarchy, But the Asgardians are probably not on that level.
To your point, Eman, I mean, we saw. Is this the first ass shot that we got in the MCU?
Nah, we got them Hulk cheeks too.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Well, non-greenish booty.
Oh, non-green. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
trying to-
they definitely. I think Kevin Feige. Yeah, he must have been on vacation. Yeah, the orgy, Thor's booty cheeks. Yeah, they let things slide on
Let
this.
them thunder cheeks roll.
Yeah, I was trying to find a clip, but before we move on though, I did like this action scene though, between you know,
Oh, this
yeah,
was dope. This was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I did like all that. That was pretty nice. And just I mean, like I kind of like, you know, I'm on the fence because for one thing, I like when big events happen in films, like as far as there's a new MacGuffin being introduced or something that we put on a high pedestal of such power gets destroyed. You're like, damn, you know, but then they don't let it sit. They fix it the next, you know, episode or the next movie. And that's just kind of bums me out. Like I think in Thor Ragnarok, Thor lost his eye. But then in the next movie, he gets it back by just popping in a mechanical eye or whatever from Rocket or whoever the other character was. Mjolnir is destroyed in Thor 3, but then it's in full effect in Thor 4, the next film. I mean, you know, we had Stormbreaker. So that just kind of bothers me. Again, in WandaVision, we're introduced to the Darkhold, this dark, evil book that's supposed to be able to do all types of hell, but then when we see the Multiverse of Madness, like I said earlier in one of our recaps and reviews, you blow on it and it just disappears.
Book of
So
Ashanti too.
Yeah, and so that kind of bothers me, but at the same time, it still was kind of cool to see Mjolnir break apart where she, you know, flings the hammer and comes back together. I thought that was very cool. It's very resourceful. And so I got to give them some props right there.
I kind of feel like Marvel's just getting a little. I feel like they're feeling too much pressure to subvert expectations.
Yeah,
I think that they're like, man, we gotta trick them with this. Man, we gotta send people off with that. And I'm like, let's be honest here. The people that are watching your movies are not always the same people that read the comics.
Right.
Because a lot of people probably did not read this Gorr the God Butcher story. So if you had just copied, let's say, 80% of the story and changed just 20%, so us comic fans, we could be like, oh, that's a new wrinkle. That would have been fine, you know. But like, I feel like they're like, we gotta make stuff so different that you do end up having these send-off MacGuffins, and you end up killing off a lot of villains, because that's another thing Marvel likes to do now, is just kill off certain villains for good.
Yeah,
so
that is true. One thing I almost forgot about this. Ellie, you made a funny joke just talking about how the kids can't hear; they couldn't hear. I didn't really care for the environment, you know, where they're flying to the Shadow Realm and they're in there all scared, and then you had Heimdall's son. I wasn't in love with that. Again, Heimdall dies, but then his son just pops up. It's like, I mean, they're doing really good with Iron Man staying dead and also Quicksilver from 2015, you know, but let's just let people stay dead for a while. Let's let things be destroyed. Let's stop switching them in and out. Heimdall's son. How did y'all feel about that?
Axel, was that his name?
Yeah, Axel.
Or the joke that they made. Again, I think this is Marvel. Again, phase 4 is the phase of setup and younger and youth and passing the baton. And I think he, you know, very similar to a Hawkeye with Kate Bishop. Sylvie, you know, literally phase 4 is introduced a new version of a character in some iteration. I think this is just another example of that. Of the next time we see Thor 5, or whatever the case may be, Axel will probably be 17, 18, and probably get some big up and coming actor to potentially fill the shoes of, because let's be honest, again, I think righting their wrongs, Idris Elba was completely wasted in all the Thor's films. So they'll probably allow, just very similar to, you know, I think with Jennifer Walter's character with the Hulk, I think they're going to give all the sins that they did with the Hulk, probably give her the best stuff. So I think his son will probably be someone we like come phase 5. They're going to probably, you know, brush him up and make him more important than what his dad wasn't able to get to do in the MCU films.
Everybody looks so annoyed about this. Eman, how you feel about Axel?
Another black kid without a father.
Oh, damn. Oh, my God.
Seems to be a fun little trait.
Dang, cuz. Oh man, well we're gonna talk about it here.
Listen. I just would love to see a black father be present and stay alive.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not mad at you, man. I'm not mad at you, but we're coming up to the end of the movie now, and I have one image of Valkyrie, going blade to blade with your boy Gorr here, and like we talked about earlier, the contrast, the cinematography, this color, black and white, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. We loved all that, and Thor is getting much more powerful with that lightning bolt, man. He's just throwing it out there, just Actually, let me just bring it up right here. He is doing his thing, and so I like that. How do I think, Eman, you just touched on it a second ago, him passing his powers along. I don't know how I feel about that. He gave all the kids powers, but I was like, well, they are Asgardian, so they are much stronger than normal humans, to my understanding. But that's just, it was too convenient for me. Like, I can just give my powers to everybody and let's go. I mean, okay, we'll give them to half a country, so in case we're invaded, everybody can fight. I don't know. I just didn't really care for that. Did you? I mean, that just still stood out to me.
He's a god, magic.
Okay.
Like,
like I think is it temporary? It was just for that.
Yeah, he did throw the line in there. He was like, give them the powers of Thor on a limited basis.
Yeah,
temporary basis. So yeah, he did make it very temporary. I don't think it matters whether they're Asgardian or not. They, Jane's not Asgardian, but
right. And the kids even said, well, I'm not Asgardian, I'm a wolf.
Yeah. So like when you get the power of a god, you just have it. Now, we don't know the science behind this. We don't know if, like, he dished out 60% of his power and Thor's only at 40%. We don't know.
Right.
That's just one of those things. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, fine. It set up some cool little imagery. We got the kids with the little dolls fighting and stuff. All right. It's fun.
Anyone can be Thor.
You get the funny ha moment. That's great. But before, I don't have nothing else to add to that, because that to me was like whatever. It was set up, I think, more so for the funny shots with the kids and the cute stuff. Yeah. But I did want to backtrack just a little bit with Gorr, and I know a lot of people are going to celebrate his performance and stuff for Christian Bale. The one thing I did not particularly care for in his performance was the fact that, like, once again, I think he kind of sort of broke character when he started interacting with the kids, because the whole time, like when he was in
Asgard,
when he was in New Asgard and he was just standing there with the glowing eyes in the dark and the shadows and going against Thor and all of that, I loved it. I thought that was like, he had his presence felt. My man was looking like a whole threat. I mean, he was scary for real. But then when he started interacting with the kids, I was like, when did you turn into Pennywise? Why are you turning like it? The clown from It. Like, like, hey kids, you know what's funny? Let me tell you a story. Break the neck. And I'm like, you don't need to do all of that.
You do
like,
not.
You're already scary as you are. You could just, I don't know. Like, again, Taika being Taika, and I just thought it was unnecessary. I thought the portrayal of the character was like a break from what was a pretty good establishment so far in Christian Bale's performance. And if that was Christian Bale, I did read something about Bale saying he really didn't do any real research on Gorr's character. He just kind of knew, like, oh, this guy had, like, he suffered, he rejected the gods, etc. And then he just wanted a fresh, clean slate to do whatever he wanted with the character. I think that's where this was a miss, because honestly, and don't get me wrong, I am a fan of Christian Bale, but he's made questionable acting choices before. I mean, I'm still not forgiving him for the voiceover thing in Batman at all. Like, that was literally the worst thing in the whole franchise. He did everything else right, but the whole swear to me, just like, what are you doing? So I just didn't particularly care for that aspect of his character. I thought he could have played it straight, just kept being that evil, menacing, eerie looking person that he was. And yeah, the whole like being kiddie or humorous with it, that was a miss for me.
I got you. Okay. Ellie, you got any 2 cents?
As far as that particular scene goes, the Pennywise.
The Pennywise, the kids, the powers. I forgot where we left off. My fault.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it was the kid angle again, I just found it to be kind of a throwaway, kind of last minute. What's the threat? How can we get Thor and them to go to this planet? Through the use of the kids, and obviously the kids being a big vocal point of Thor at the end of the film. It didn't make or break it. I'm trying to. Yeah, to Eman's point, it was a little bit kind of silly and goofy. The whole, again, Pennywise is a great comparison there, but it was fine. I didn't not necessarily dislike it, nor do I think it it deserves like a standout moment from that character.
I got you. So your boy Gorr stole the Stormbreaker, and he opened up the portal. And something that I did not expect that we was gonna get in this movie, but we knew it was gonna come eventually, is one of the biggest characters in the universe itself. It's probably the biggest character in the universe is Eternity. The I guess the physical embodiment of all of the universe in some dark backwards dimension, with his sitting Indian style, with his hands on his knees, or her, whatever. Man, that's Infinity right there. But I was surprised by that. I like that it was a white background, and then you just you like this right here, and then you see the body of the universe in the body. It's kind of hard to explain. However, the water at the bottom was a little bit weird. But Eman, man, what did you think about all this in Eternity and all that good stuff? I know you.
I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I mean, we've been teased with Eternity ever since Guardians of the Galaxy. In the first volume, like when Peter was going through that tomb, we saw like the inscriptions of like the cosmic entities, and then in volume 2 of Guardians, like he was like, yeah, I can see Eternity, when he was with his dad or whatever, and his eyes turned into space or whatever. But yeah, the fact that they actually showed it was really cool. Fun little Easter egg. And I only caught this on the second time. If you go back to when after the kids got kidnapped, and when Thor was trying to give that little motivational speech or whatever, and that Meek or whoever it was writing on the board, they foreshadowed the entire movie on the whiteboard. So really? When you get a chance to see it again, look at that. Like, look at the board. I just randomly caught it. And I saw it, and they actually had Eternity sitting there in the Indian style position, and they had the Bifrost symbol and everything. And I was like, did they just spoil the movie?
Wow!
Like, did they spoil the movie the whole way? So I'm sure a YouTube channel or whatever is gonna freeze frame on it and take it all down. But it was just something quick. I saw that, and I was like, get out of here.
I'm pretty sure your favorite YouTube channel is going through. Elliot, man, how'd you feel about Eternity, man, and that its depiction or whatever? Is that you expected? Did you like it? Was it stupid? Let us know.
Did not expect it, man. And for a hot split second, like a blink of an eye, I thought it was like, wait, are they displaying Galactus? Because of the whole, it looked very similar to Galactus to me for a hot second. Which also, too, I don't know if there's any higher implications of when they were in that tomb, Celestial head dropped, and I don't know if that ties at all to Eternals and the Judge, and if it's going to affect any of that stuff. Again, it's always very interesting that this, to me, I think Phase 4, we're going to look back at it a couple years, and it was just, this is literally the setup phase, and it's just planting little seeds to maybe, hopefully, grow in Phase 5. But yeah, I did not expect it, man. I didn't know Taika was going to dig that deep into the bag and kind of to Eman's point, it was, alluded to and shown and Easter egg in Guardians, because I know James Gunn, I don't know who has, if they want a comic book war. I feel like James Gunn just maybe knows more about comics than Taika. I could be completely wrong, but I would expect that from James, but not necessarily from Taika. So yeah, I was not expecting that to be, that was a big surprise. That was a huge moment for the MCU to kind of introduce those more huge cosmic entities like we got in this film. And it just makes you think that, that we're just knocking on the door to, again, a Galactus and all the different cosmic beings that we have in the MCU. So I'm very excited that we got that, and I look forward to seeing more about, I guess, the ramifications of a child born of Eternity. That's very intrigued to see what they do with that young lady, and if they age her up next time we see her, or we're going to see that progression, or Thor's going to lose someone else come the next film. But that's very fascinating to me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and one of the things I want to see when it comes to Eternity and Infinity and It's like what 9, 10, 12, 13 of them or whatever that are that big. I want a scene to where they had in Eternals where they got the new lead Eternal and she was talking to Arsham and they did that montage of him just explaining how the universe is built, you know, them building stars and stuff like that. I want a whole monologue like that. This is eternity and infinity and at the beginning of time, blah, blah, blah. I need that. I need it. Marvel, take your time, develop it, do it right. We are here for you. You can, you know, take our money. But we're at the scene right here, and like you kind of said at the beginning of this review, E-Man, Gorr, I guess, really just wasn't that evil. He was just kind of corrupted because at the end he could have just risked for the anything he wanted, like kill all the gods, kill Thor, give me $1 million. But he was like, no, bring my daughter back to life, you know, and you know, how did he? Now that I think about it, I forgot, how did he pass away, or did he? I don't.
He was just dying. It was just killing him.
Okay.
The sword was apparently just corrupting him, killing him, whatever.
Yeah, again, paralleling to Jane Foster, Mjolnir, yeah, very similar parallel to their story. So killing him, consuming him, killing him. Yeah.
Well,
but, I mean, if you notice, the moment they broke the Necrosword, that's what kind of broke the hold.
Yeah, his skin pale went away.
And I think that's when he stopped being as ashy and he started getting back to his normal complexion. So like once he got there, once he got there, I think the mentality of kill all gods and all that stuff was still there.
Yeah.
But you start to notice that he's now starting to become reasonable. Now that he was actually willing to listen to what Thor had to say, and he was open to changing his mind, because once again, it was never his idea in the first place to get revenge and kill all God. That all came from the Necrosword and whoever that sword came from. So I get the theme. I understand it. It's very Naruto like. It's the power of love.
Yeah.
That conquers all. I thought it was a little heavy-handed. Does it work? Yes, it works. It's not overly complicated. We've seen this before. I choose love. It was a little like straightforward for me. I
agree.
Again, I know this is not a deep movie. It is not something that you guys need super, elaborate think pieces written about. They literally told you what it was, and you got what that was at the end of it. So it's fine. It works for the 13-year-olds in the audience and up. You'll get it, and that's cool. I know some people was talking about they was teary-eyed and all that. I'm like, I don't know about that. I feel for them. I liked it. If I'm a dad, I'm gonna do what I can do for my kid too. I love that aspect. Dang, there go Marvel, Disney killing another dad. Anyway, so the scene was cool. I liked where they went with it. I think it's intriguing to have the whole child born of eternity with the powers of a god, according to Korg. So it's kind of like how powerful is she?
Is she immortal? Like,
I mean, at this point, who knows?
I can do anything I want.
You got cosmic powers. You can probably do whatever you want. We don't know.
I don't know if I want Thor raising her. I'll tell you that.
She might be the new MacGuffin.
So her next.
We don't know. There was I forget the character's name. I think it was Cupid, Carrick, something like that. But there was a character that was actually the embodiment of the Tesseract, in the comics. And I'm wondering if this is kind of like the substitute for that. Like it was a little girl that was like what the Tesseract would be if the Tesseract was human, So I wonder if they're kind of maybe doing a parallel there, but I don't know, whatever. This is uncharted territory. This is where the MCU gets to just do whatever it is that they are about to do with this. I have no idea, but they're having fun with it. It was cute at the end, so it is what it is.
So Marvel, do your homework, man. Develop it, map it out. Okay, get this hierarchy of power in order. Okay, get it in order because, like you said, when you burden people from eternity itself, this, eternity. That's just, you know, we know
Big
what it
deal.
means.
Big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's these words, big deal. Like, damn, that's such an
Yeah.
understatement for eternity. But we got it. And Jane dies. I wasn't expecting that. She turns into the fairy dust like Odin.
That's a good
And
thing.
she dies. Of course, we're gonna talk about the post-credit scene, but I was like, damn, Jane, like Thor just losing to everybody left
Another
and
one.
right. Like,
Another
hey,
one.
why did I have to meet you? You had to come back on my life, get me all excited, and you're just gonna perish. Why,
Another one
Jane?
bites
Why?
the dust.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and post credit scene. I think we covered pretty much everything. If I forgot something, let me know. But it was rumored that these were, for me at least, all these post credit scenes were huge. They big. And they were cool. I liked it much better than the tail end of Multiverse of Madness. But we got we're here now, the mid and post credit scene, where my life came back to me when I found out that Zeus was not dead. I was so happy. I was like, thank God y'all fixed this, because I was going to be angry. I was going to go ham in this review, like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? But we got your boy right here, Hercules, coming through, ready to kick some ass apparently. And we all heard of Zeus, we all heard of Hercules, but I don't know much of Hercules in Marvel. And so I forgot what order we was in, so my bad. Whoever want to jump in, man, what was y'all's thoughts when you saw Hercules pop up looking all swole with his hammer and weapon and all that good stuff?
I'll be honest, and again, I'm not too familiar with the MCU's iteration of Hercules. I've seen other films and shows depict the character, but obviously the MCU, Greek gods, Norse gods, they can do, as they please. But I freaked out more because I'm a Ted Lasso fan, so I'm like, yo, that's Roy. That's Roy. And I don't know if it was visual effects aid.
I know he was like that.
Exactly. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
I've seen the actor in person. He don't come off as
in the show. I mean, he takes off his shirt. He's a soccer player. You've seen him shirtless in Ted Lasso, and he does not look like that in Ted Lasso. So whatever workout between Hugh Jackman, Chris Evans, or Chris Hemsworth might have gave him a couple lessons, but that moment to me, I freaked out more knowing that it was I think his name is Brent Goldstein, aka Roy Kent. That was the moment that I'm like, oh, that is awesome, because I love Ted Lasso. But then thinking of the ramifications, I mean, this is with his dad was telling him, rain hell on, let them know we're no one to joke with, which I think, I don't know if it makes up for the jokiness of Zeus, but the fact that he can be serious and be like, let them know we're not,
bro. Yeah,
kind of helps it, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to see Thor versus Hercules and whoever other battle royale we want to get there. I'm very excited for that, and because I know there was rumors for a couple years now. We're DC fans and Henry Cavill's being completely wasted. I know there was rumors that Henry Cavill can play the role, but I'm very excited for Brett, especially with Ted Lasso potentially wrapping up with season 3. So I'm here for it, man. I thought that was a very big reveal with huge ramifications for Thor, because Hercules ain't no punk.
Nice, man. Nice. When I saw it, it was only about 20 people in my screening, but this one dude cheered loudest. He was like, yeah, hell yeah. And I was like, okay, he's happy over there. And real quick, before I come to you, Eman, when you were talking about how he was like, yeah, go wreck shop and show them who we are. I love the way Zeus said it. He said it with such confidence.
Yeah,
like, we are going to go whoop their ass. It is only a matter of time. And the way he said it, bro, let me put the mic back. He was laid back, just chilling, like dusting off his shoulders, like, okay, you got a little lucky, you got a little cheap shot, you know what I'm saying, a little sucker punch, but no, yeah, you're gonna know who we are and what we're about, and it is going down. I'm not even gonna do it myself. I'm gonna send my son to go whoop your ass, because if I do it, like, seriously, your great grandchildren are gonna feel it. So that right there was dope as hell. Kind of like you were just saying, Elliot, they're showing more of the serious side of Zeus, and that he is all powerful. So yeah, I that part was dope. Eman, how'd you feel about all that, man? That post
this is the Zeus we should have gotten.
Yeah.
This is why I was saying it was so unnecessary to have him frolicking around and talking all weird and stuff. He never had to do that. The movie's already funny. You don't need to make him more comedic and more eccentric like that. So I absolutely love that version of Zeus, because he was like, you know what? They done forgot our names. They done forgot how we roll. They forgot we control. We run this.
Yeah.
Make them remember.
Make 'em
I was
remember.
sitting there like, okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's Jesus right there. Let's go.
Yeah.
So yo, he pulled it out and was like, yo, go handle my light deity
My
weight.
light, yeah.
So I'm like, that was great. I was very, very happy about that.
Yeah.
Now the thing with Hercules in the comics, it was a fun little thing. Hercules versus Thor. Again, these gods, even like in mythology, they kind of mirrored each other. Zeus to Odin, Thor to Hercules, so like of course in the comics they would fight. I won't spoil like what happens, but they do go head to head, and it's like a pretty good battle. It's a pretty good battle between the two of them. I guess fun little fun tidbit. Now I don't know where Marvel's gonna go with this. I have an inclination. I would not be surprised just because Marvel likes to check certain boxes off. But one version of Hercules was LGBTQ, and it was him and Wolverine at that, by the way. And then you also have another version of him that got played. He was one of She-Hulk's let's say body count. She added him to the body count and just left my man in the middle of the street. Like just draws and all. And he was like, is she gonna call me? Like so there's potential there. There is potential. I mean, think about it. Like She-Hulk swole and he's swole and maybe. But yeah, and I don't know. I don't have high hopes for Hercules. I think that he will come in as a potential villain. Eventually, they're gonna still play him up on some goofy comedic stuff. Eventually, him and Thor become best buds, and they frolic off somewhere else in space. That's my thought. I'm not basing that on no comics. I'm just saying the way the MCU is going, I don't take Hercules as a legitimate threat. I think he's gonna start off that way, but later on down the line, he might even be Thor's replacement.
You said who's not going to be a threat at first?
I think he'll be like a threat initially, but he ain't going to Hercules.
Okay.
But he ain't about to be like some big old like, oh my gosh, what we gonna do? Hercules is in town. I think he's eventually going to be a Thor replacement for the new Avengers and all of them. Like he'll just be the strong god on their side.
I got you. I got the end credits saying you got your boy back. I'm pretty sure he was happy when he got that call. Like, oh, I thought I was dead, but you want to have me in Valhalla, and Jane is there too, and so they're gonna be kicking it and doing all that thing. Eman, what you think about that end post credit scene with Heimdall and Jane?
I absolutely loved it because spoiler alert, I think that this is an absolute setup to bring Jane back. It is, if I'm not mistaken, part of Norse mythology that the gods, part of Ragnarok is the fact that it's a cycle. Like it happens over and over and over again. The gods live, Ragnarok happens, everything is destroyed, they're all dead, but then they get reincarnated and they come back and then they just do it all over again. So the moment Jane became mighty Thor and she became basically godlike, that's why she turned to dust rather than just dying as a human. And they kind of alluded to this and foreshadowed this, saying like, hey, but you'll go to Valhalla because now you're an Asgardian. So you'll go to that special place now. And if you notice, right when Heimdall met her, he was like, you can stay here if you like. Like it was optional. So I would not be surprised if she's like, oh, this is great, but I want to go back. And she comes back, she gets the the hammer again, and she's cool. I would not be surprised if that's what they do.
Okay. And Elliot, of course, I'm coming to you, but I want to also throw a question in there. How did you feel about the post-credit scene, Heimdall, Jane popping up, and also with characters dying, and one in the same movie and coming back in the same movie? And then Heimdall dying in Infinity War, and now we see him again. Like, are the deaths in the MCU meaningless if people just keep popping back? Let us know how you feel.
I mean, that's a topic of discussion for many years. Besides comic book movies, action movies, sci-fi movies, horror movies. I think I've come to the realization that if you put it in a vacuum, how did it make you feel when you saw it for the first time, right? Obviously, in life, you experience something and you see it in hindsight, it changes everything in perspective. But did it hit when it happened? And it did for me. Seeing him, even though he wasn't used properly, I felt it for Thor, and obviously the relationship that they spoke on and what we saw in the 3 films prior to that, I felt the moment. So, and again, to your point, it happens a lot in MCU. It happens in Thor. I mean, literally all the time. Loki comes, which I was genuinely shocked that Loki didn't appear in this film. I know they said it a year or two ago. Tom Hiddleston was like, "No, I'm not going to be in the next Thor." I'm like, "Okay, we'll see." He wasn't in it, which is obviously the first time. That he wasn't involved in the Thor story at all, besides the tattoo or whatever. But yeah, man, as far as Valhalla goes, yeah, I think Eman hit the nail on the head. We will probably, I don't know if we'll see her again in a Thor 5 or the next time we see Thor, she's involved, but at least they have that card to play if all hell breaks loose and we need all the extra, another Avengers 5 threat level, then she can come back. So I was fine with the post-credit scene. And I think Natalie Portman, the way she left the character, allows her to maybe feel more confident in coming back if she wants to do that. Now, I don't know, again, if she wants to, she did her thing as far as bulking up. I don't know if she wants to continue to do that, but if, I would welcome her back. And again, as far as the taking away and killing and taking away, I think it's just, again, if it worked within that movie, and then next time we see him, we'll see how if it was worth it, if it has a payoff. So I'm okay with it.
Right on. And I was thinking about Loki earlier, but now that I think about it even more, because I was thinking about what you said, like, yeah, he's not even in the movie, but
at all.
Yeah. Shouldn't he be in Valhalla? He's a god, and he died in battle. He should be there, right?
Did he die in battle?
Thanos choked him out.
What was the battle?
You say was the battle? Yeah,
I got you.
Just died.
Yeah, he got murked. I mean,
yeah, he did.
I don't know if he landed a punch.
Well, I guess Odin has a different because he didn't. He didn't die in battle, right? Huh? Well, Odin didn't die in battle.
No, yeah,
he didn't. He just died of old age, I think.
Yeah. So,
but Heimdall and Loki both died at the hands of Thanos in the same ship. Yeah. So I don't know. Y'all let us know what you think.
I mean, look, the afterlife in Marvel all just depends on whatever that character believes.
Yeah,
that's all. So if you believe in heaven and hell, you gonna go to heaven or hell. If you believe in Jesus, Valhalla or hell, you will go to one or the other. There's a good possibility that Loki is in hell. Hell.
True.
Like the other one. So
man, I forgot all about that. We got hell and death and all that. Also, I forgot to mention Lady Sith was in this movie too. Shout out Lady Sith. Real quick, before actually, we know we're gonna get a Thor 5. Are we going to see this character?
Thor 5? You think it'll be a Thor 5?
I'm confident because we got to get this character right here, Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
I am glad that Beta Ray Bill did not pop up in this because it would have been too much.
A little bit too much.
This is a character that I do like. He from Planet Corbin or Corbinite or something? I forgot the name, but when we're gonna get Beta Ray Bill, y'all, I think this is from Earth Mightiest Heroes right here on Disney Plus. But he takes control of Stormbreaker. So when he comes, I think that Thor is gonna get Mjolnir back and Beta Ray Bill is going to get a Stormbreaker, but y'all got any anticipation for this character right here?
I mean, they introduced or alluded to him in Ragnarok, and honestly, I thought one of the post-credit scenes was going to lead to Beta Ray Bill. If I'm being honest with you, just kind of set that stage. But yeah, I'll again, if we are to assume we're getting the Thor 5 in a couple of years, because he is the only out of the Trinity to get their 4th film, so I guess why the hell not? Why not get a 5th film? But yeah, I look forward to him if they introduce him come Thor 5. And I guess the big question is does Taika come back? Or do you guys want Taika back, or do you want someone else to take the reins and maybe give it a little bit different interpretation?
I don't mind him coming back. If he does, I just want a little bit more seriousness, in the film. Eman, how you feeling about it?
I'm good. I don't need him back.
Here's
the thing: 2 conditions. 1, bring him back as an executive producer. I'm okay with that because as an executive producer, you can still kind of sort of guide the director that you bring in and still leave a little element of whatever works for you. So, for example, Zack Snyder was an executive producer of Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman. He didn't direct it, but you could see little elements of Zack Snyder in that, right? So I'd be cool if they wanted to do that. Or if they do bring Taika back, you cannot let him go full Taika. Like, bring him back, just reel him back. The MCU, I'm serious, like, it really does not need Marvel fun all the time.
True.
It really doesn't. It needs to just focus on the story. And if you sprinkle some comedy in there here or there, that's fine. But Taika just going all out and all that, I'm just saying it's not necessary. Same way that DC didn't need to be super, super dark with no like levity at all. Like, we don't need these extremes. It's okay to just tell the story and add these elements here or there. Small doses is fine. It really is.
Okay. Yeah, man. I hear you. You got any Beta Ray Bill thoughts? No.
They just,
Oh,
I mean, like Kevin Feige had said, the reason why they didn't put him in Ragnarok was they wanted that character to have some real time to breathe, right? So, in a sense, I think you would have had to make a decision. Do you want this to be a Thor and Jane story or a Thor and Beta Ray Bill story? Because I think that's the amount of screen time you would have had to like have, because he's gonna have to have the amount of screen time that Jane had. He has to be kind of like a co-star. To be honest with you, I'd be cool if he was just a Disney Plus series, because I don't think he's as big of a character for the movies that people will care about. I think as a Disney Plus series, people can grow to like him, and then he could come in later on and be featured.
How much faith do y'all have in Phase 5? You know, recently coming out where Kevin Feige is going to reveal some big announcement at Comic-Con, maybe D23 later this year. I was very hopeful, but Eman crushed my soul, I think, day before yesterday with this news right here of this maniac getting
Thanos back.
Jesus Christ, what are they thinking?
Like 3 years.
Another 3 years. I got this report from Hollywood, the reporter. We're not gonna go over the whole thing. We've been here long enough, but Chapek is gonna be over the all of this in the next 3 years. I forgot, it's not Ann Sarnoff. He does have another boss that came out last year, which was kind of weird. Some that's actually on the board. But do y'all have faith in Phase 5? Or are you a bit nervous?
In the sense of Bob being involved,
everything, just Bob and just in general, like what we seen, Love and Thunder now.
Yeah,
we got Black Panther left, Ant-Man, and the Thunderbolts, but I don't know really space random arbitrary dates that really don't mean anything in a sense, but I could be wrong. But y'all got any feelings on that or anything?
Look, man, I regardless. So Phase 4, I will admit, has been not as well handled, or the position of certain things and characters and stories and all this stuff hasn't been as great as the previous phase. But I'm still in high hopes that we've talked about this several times. We barely scratched the surface in the MCU as far as what these next big groups of Fantastic Four and X-Men and what comes, the package that comes with that. It's kind of it's almost intimidating just knowing that potentially is the next phase if we're diving into that. So I'm hopeful, man. I'm not going to let this phase, a couple films here and there, spoil my or temper my excitement, because phase 3 had so many hits, and Phase 2 has its great moments, and of course Phase 1. So I'm still very excited for what Kevin Feige and the creators have for Phase 5, and whatever the announcement is come later this month or in a couple weeks. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Okay, and I respect it as well. You saying that you're not gonna let a few films, just ruin your whole birthday party. So that's cool. Eman, you got any high hopes? Are you chilling? You riding away?
No, I do have high hopes for Phase 5 because Phase 4 ends with Fantastic Four, and Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be our formal introduction to Kang the Conqueror. Mm-hmm. You also have Secret Invasion that is going to be one of the final Disney Plus shows at the end of Phase 4. Kevin Feige was basically saying that, like, hey, by the end of the next couple of months, everybody's going to start seeing where we're actually going.
Yeah.
I've tried to tell people. Listen, I think a lot of people agree. Phase 4 has been very average. It's been very mid. It has not hit the highs that we're used to hitting. But at the same time, we have to start all over again. Because after coming off of historic, unprecedented Infinity War and Endgame, we ain't never, out of every movie property, we ain't never had 20 plus something movies build up to a 2-part conclusion on that magnitude, which are sitting at still like one of the top box office movies of all time. So we've never had that level of a high before. And with every high, you gotta come down. And we're in the come down period. Right. And I want to remind people that this come down period, this is the point in time when Marvel didn't have all their best players. This is before the Fox acquisition. They had, because Marvel plans 5 years in advance, 5, maybe 10 years. But like while they were planning those 5 years, we're finally catching up. We're almost at the end of their 5-year plan from back in 2018, 2016. And that's before they got the X-Men, the mutants, Fantastic Four, all the rights to the characters and so on. So now that they have all that, we're going to start seeing glimpses of what they're planning for the next 10 years. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, yo, this phase right now, and it's not an excuse. I'm not, because there's no excuse for some of these movies to not pop, And I'd say this: if it wasn't for No Way Home and the big cameos and stuff, I don't know if there were like anything that like was a home run. We had some good movies, but there weren't like home runs.
True.
But Phase 5, yo, you got mutants coming through. You got Galactus probably coming through. You definitely, I'm gonna say it right now, Doctor Doom is gonna come.
Howard Stern's Doctor Doom.
Listen, I wouldn't say all that. But I'm just saying, you got all the pieces, especially with Secret Wars. That's going to be another $2 billion movie in itself. You have all these things with the incursions and all that stuff that are going to be set up now in Phase 4, but they will play out in Phase 5.
Right.
And I'll just give one last warning. If Marvel drops the ball in Phase 5, that's a problem. If y'all can't do better than what Fox did with the X-Men, if y'all can't do better than what they was doing with Fantastic Four, throw the whole franchise away. Yep. Y'all just not gonna come back.
Bob Chapek, don't F it up, man. Don't F it up. And I was gonna say, man, basically it's going down is what you was about to say. And if you look at Phase 1, it was great, it was fantastic, introduction, everything. Phase 2, Perlmutter had to come and crap everywhere. It wasn't as good. Yeah, Kevin Feige got more control. Alan Horn, Bob Iger, not Chapek, Bob Iger, my fault. It was better. And then as soon as Bob Iger leaves and we had this pandemic, Phase 4 goes back down. So it's been up, down, up, down. So Phase 5, hopefully we can go back up and Chapek can get some sense and actually listen to the most popular actress in the world instead of ignoring her. I think we'll be pretty good. Gentlemen, what did I leave at? What did we not talk about that we should have talked about? Anything?
You guys, I guess the only thing box office. I had a conversation with some people online, and just some people think it could do the $1 billion, considering that Doctor Strange did 947. Do we think Thor Ragnarok, word of mouth, fun time at the theater? Does it crack that $1 billion? Does it make the second to $1 billion?
Yes. I'm gonna say no.
What?
So less than Doctor Strange, man? Or
I think it'll be less
numbers.
I mean, listen, the reason why Doctor Strange was so like even getting close to what it hit box office was because people wanted to see the cameos. Right. The reason why it didn't go beyond that is because you can't build a movie off cameos. Like you need more substance, and Doctor Strange kind of lacked that. So I think Doctor Strange had way more hype going into it. People were way more excited because everybody thought that the X-Men was going to come through the door. They thought the Fantastic Four, they thought everybody and their mama, Deadpool, everybody was going to show up. And, like when that didn't happen, I think the fizzle kind of faded. But, think about it. The box office tickets were selling out like crazy. They were breaking records for Doctor Strange. I don't even think people cared if Thor came out, like when the tickets went on sale. So I'm not putting it on the $1 billion radar. I think people will have a good time with it for sure. I would say, because I don't know opening week. I don't follow all that.
Yeah.
I kind of look more so at the total. I think it'll be around 700 million.
Ooh, so less than Ragnarok then.
What?
Oh yeah,
Ragnarok
yeah.
850.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
I can understand you saying that because you didn't like you like Ragnarok more than this. E-Man, what did you
I
like
just
more?
say that because Ragnarok had repeat value. I
Mhm.
don't know if this has repeat value.
Mm.
I don't know if people are going to be like, I love this so much.
Mhm.
Let me go back and rewatch it.
Which
That's
one
what
did
I'm
you
saying.
like?
Like people going to watch it. It's going to make a good amount of money.
50, right?
But to get to that $8-9 billion mark, that's people going back twice to go see it.
Man, I'm gonna push back, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My anticipation was higher for Multiverse of Madness than Thor: Love and Thunder. But however, after Multiverse of Madness came out, I just sensed the energy from the interwebs, and I could be wrong. I could just be my echo chamber, that people are anticipating Love and Thunder, a lot. So, but let me ask you this real quick: what did you like more? Put a gun in your head. You got to pick one: Love and Thunder or Multiverse of Madness. Which one you like more? I'm gonna go Love and Thunder.
I'm gonna probably go Doctor Strange because I prefer horror over comedy, and I thought the horror elements played better in that than because that was the two vocal points of those films as far as tonally. So I thought tonally that played better into the horror fan that I am versus the comedy. I didn't find it to be hitting those highs as the horror did in Doctor Strange.
I respect that. Eman?
I'll agree with Elliot. I mean, for a slightly different reason. I think that because they had two different jobs to do. Clearly, Thor had the job of trying to be comedic, and Doctor Strange 2 had the job of trying to be a horror. I think Doctor Strange 2 did a better job of accomplishing that goal rather than Thor. I mean, look, I went to two different screenings, right? And there were two completely different reactions from that because I wasn't looking just for me. I wanted to see how do people respond. I wanted to see like, okay, in that first screening, it was the hardcore people, and they were laughing at literally everything. They were cheering at every moment. And it was, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like I could see why a lot of people that were coming out of that first screening at the premiere were like, this clearly was the best movie ever. This clearly was the best Marvel movie because listen to the crowds.
A lot of those.
My other screening, it wasn't as loud. And even just kind of hearing the rumblings. Now, granted, it was the press screening. So, sometimes press are a little bit more critical. But some people were kind of like, I'm mixed. I like it, but, and that was kind of the feeling. That's why I'm like, if that initial feeling from the hardcores doesn't pass down on both sides, I don't see it having the legs later on. So that's why I don't really think, and because comedy is subjective, that's why I wanted to see how does it work for different audiences. Because if something's really, really funny, you're gonna get at least a constant set of laughs, from people, and that didn't happen in my experience. So I'd go Doctor Strange 2.
Okay, I got you. I'm Love and Thunder still. And just to wrap it up, guys, we have been here for over 2 hours. This
Longer
is
than the film?
Yeah, longer. Man, hold up, longer than the film. You know what I'm saying? I think E-Man, our Snyder cut were spoilers that we did last year.
Wasn't that
Was
like
about
4
this long.
hours?
Not the review, but the movie. The review was like 2 hours.
It wasn't the review was like 4 hours.
Nah, bro. Okay. He's trolling. But overall, I enjoyed this film. I had a lot of fun with it. I've only seen it once, and so I will be able to determine if it really does have that rewatchability factor that second time. I'll probably see it next. I don't know when I'll see it a second time, but I definitely liked it better than the first Thor movie, better than the second one. And I think at this point, I can say I even liked it more than Ragnarok because I was just really disappointed in Ragnarok with the Hulk and also the Hulk and Surtur thing and how him fighting the wolf on the bridge. They didn't fight; they ran and tackled each other and fell in some water. That really bothered me, and I was not disappointed like that walking out of Love and Thunder like I was walking out of Ragnarok. And I still think I'll pick this film over Multiverse of Madness. I gotta watch it again, and if I had to rate it out of a 1 out of 10, I think I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. And I'm gonna leave it there. You know, Eman, you got no final words, wrap it up, rating, anything like that?
I mean, I still got Ragnarok over it. Like I said, I just thought it was a little more heavy-handed with the comedy. I think that when it comes to villains are the things that push the movies over the hump in terms of being epic and memorable. I think Gorr is going to be forgettable, and that's sad for an actor of Christian Bale's, talent and potential. I think the movie did not do him favors. I'm not saying he was a terrible actor. I'm just saying I don't think that the script built him up to be one of those memorable villains somewhere down the line. I hope we do get more Jane in the future. I loved her. Would love to see more of her in the future. I think this is Chris Hemsworth he better stick to this, because this
he
is
said already. Yeah, I'll come back as long as they want me to.
My man was suffering in the first Thor, and the second Thor was forgettable too. So he's found his comedic stride. Although I will say, I would not be opposed to finally seeing a Thor grow up. I would not be opposed to that.
He's got a kid now. He might have to.
I'm just saying, like, given all the trauma he's been through, kind of like, at some point, when do you just grow up? Like, at what point? Because you've had life-changing events that should push you more towards Rune King Thor. And my comic fans know who that is. So, overall, I mean, the movie's cool. You could definitely have fun with it, have some laughs with it. I know I was very critical about it. But that did not mean that I hated the movie whatsoever. And for some of the people that are probably going to say it, no, I don't have a problem with comedy. I just have the problem with the amounts of comedy at times. So I want to make that very clear. If you've been on my channel, I joke a lot. So I'm very, very open to comedy. But again, I understand it's subjective. So I don't really have a rating because I haven't honestly put my review together. But if I had to just ballpark, I say it's a 7 out of 10.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Elliot, wrap it up, man. Wrap it up.
Yeah, fun time for sure. I've lived with Ragnarok a little bit longer. I've come to really like it, for a while. Ragnarok was, I'll be honest, was top 10 for me for a very long time. Because I found it very refreshing, because opposite of Brandon in regards to, I came in with Ragnarok with so low expectations because of Dark World. I was like, they can whatever. So I came out very pleasantly surprised and was happy by that. So that's kind of where Ragnarok was. I do think it's a better film. Narratively, Hela, I think, was to Eman's point about Gorr, like she didn't need to. She wasn't. This was just who she was. She was born to hate, for death. So I felt that Kate. And again, he's if he does come back with 5, like who's he going to have next? Denzel and Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Like he pulls these high caliber actors to do these comic book roles. So we'll see. But neither here nor there. I do have Ragnarok over this, but that doesn't take anything away from what this film. I think sometimes rankings doesn't mean that it's just so superior. But I think for what Ragnarok was going for, accomplished it better than what Love and Thunder did. But it doesn't take anything away from Love and Thunder. So I'm having fun with this character, man. To Eman's point, I do want to see him mature. And I think with him now having this daughter of his sorts, adopted daughter, will require him to age up and require him to be, a father that hopefully live. Man, we don't kill off another father here.
He's not black. He'll be fine.
I think we will see him age up because it's going to require him to be a father figure to that young girl that has a huge amount of powers, and you don't want to mess that up. So excited to see more from the character. Again, you would ask me 10 years ago, out of the trilogy, out of the Trinity, who was going to get a 4th film, it would have been Cap all day. But surprisingly so, Thor is still here. Chris Hemsworth, unlike Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and no disrespect to them, they're like, you know what, I did my time with those characters, and they want to move on. I saw Chris the other day said, if they want me back, I will play this role as long as I can, because it built my career. So it's always kind of fun to hear that from an actor, because you hear those other actors saying, I'm done with that. I'm at a different point, which again, respect that. But I want more of Thor, Chris Hemsworth, and I'm excited to see what they do with him next.
Nice. I appreciate that. And guys, just real quick, if you're watching in the chat, let us know in the comments. Will Thor Love and Thunder make more than Doctor Strange 1 at 677? Will it make more than Ragnarok at 853? Or even will it pass Multiverse of Madness at $9.50 worldwide when your man Bob Chapek wanted to pull it from theaters while it's still making money. You idiot.
Sure, yeah.
Man, you idiot. But I think it's going to I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 900 million. I'm gonna just throw it out there. But before go ahead.
No, I was gonna say was it 958, right? With that?
950.
I'm gonna
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Love and Thunder at 980. And the reason I'm giving a little bit higher than that because Doctor Strange had to go against Maverick, and Maverick obviously took a lot of that box office money for them. So I don't think Thor has the biggest competition next month or so.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And again, this would have made $1 billion, but it was not released in Russia or China. So we got to take that into consideration too. There are no LGBT.
Oh, that's a good factor. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and there was no LGBTQ in this movie. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is that's the reason why it did not play in China. They banned it for that, or it could have been like they passed their limits. So we'll have to see. Eman, what do you got going on your channel that you would like to promote to all the good people out there?
Let's see, and I know I'm putting myself in a corner right now, putting myself on the spot, but I am gonna try and do as many breakdowns on this movie as possible.
Good.
Make all these rewatches count. My second time going in, I took like here's my notepad. Like I took notes after notes after notes after notes after notes about like the entire movie so that I can like actually break it down. So hopefully I will have not just a spoiler review, but like a full breakdown literally from beginning to end.
Nice.
And then I got a couple theories that'll go with that. So I'll just say I was a little afraid to do that in the past because I didn't want to have to get in trouble with copyright stuff. But I see certain channels have no problem doing that. So since they can get away with it, I'm finna get away with it. I'm gonna get back to my roots and break stuff down and hit y'all with some theories that y'all might be interested in. So you definitely want to follow and check that out. I will hopefully be dropping those things as soon as the movie drops and throughout the week.
Right on. And help him reach 100K, y'all. He right there. Check out his Miss Marvel and his Obi-Wan breakdowns. I enjoyed those too. And so, his information is in the description box of this video. And he is on my channel tab right here. Elliot, what you got going on your channel, man, that you would like to promote to the good people out there?
Yeah, man. Well, hey, man, I don't take any of these opportunities to interact with you all for granted, man. I always love talking MCU, Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars with you all. So I always appreciate you, Eman and Brandon, and look forward to the next one, which I guess is Black Panther. Which that's gonna be that 4-hour stream that Eman was talking about, or longer. But as far as because we're pre-recording.
Hold on, man. Eman gonna be screaming in that one. God,
we're gonna have to put the spotlight on him, man, and we're gonna have to Chicago and do this in person.
I told them 2 years ago. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna go right up there in LA and be like, I'm gonna be right there in their face.
Hey Ryan. Hey, yo, Ryan. But as far as content, like I said, we're pre-recording this, so by the time this is out, the embargo will be out for Thor. So expect spoiler free and maybe a spoiler review for that. Listen, y'all, I'm a Stranger Things mega fan, so it's Stranger Things territory now. So in the next few days, I'm going to be in the Upside Down with Vecna and the whole crew. So look forward to a lot of content with Stranger Things Volume 2. Very excited for that. The Boys, best TV show so far this year, and it's in the genre that it presents itself in, and that, and also for other genre fans, Only Murders in the Building season 2 is back. So coverage on that and much more. But again, Brandon and Eman, it's always great chopping it up with you too.
Of course, man. I love it, man. I love it. We got to get Lamont in here too sometime. And so I appreciate you guys. And on my channel, man, I got my Love and Thunder Out of the Theater reaction, my last movie news roundup show I have every a Sunday. But if we go here, guys, on my homepage, the last time we did this right here, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness video was 1 hour and 30 hour and 39 minutes long. We hit 13,000 views for a video that long. That is the largest I've had as far as views. It's not the largest, but guys, with this one right here, can it reach 15,000 views? Can it do it? The way you can help is if you leave a comment, you give a thumbs up, and also you share the video, and also watching this from beginning to the end. And so I do have the thanks button on my channel as well. If you just go to any video, let me just try to do that real quick right now just to make sure that it's there. And yes, it is. I'm sharing my screen. Hit that little heart thanks right there, you know, on all three of our channels. You know what I'm saying? It helps a lot. It lets us know you know, how good or bad we're doing. And so let's see if we can get this Thor Love and Thunder spoiler review to 15,000 views. If we can get it to 20, that would be great. This one right here has 730 thumbs up. Let's see if we can get Thor Love and Thunder to 1,000 likes, 1,000 thumbs up. So hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button. But guys, again, I just want to thank all of you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Eman, and Elliot. That's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.